Chasin The Racin, powered by Colchester Kawasaki. Part of the Global Moto Group, we supply new Aprilia, Moto Guzzi, Vespa, Royal Enfield, Kawasaki, Sim, Mutt and Benelli motorcycles.
3, 2, 1, and welcome back to Chasin The Racin.
And welcome back to the podcast, powered by Colchester Kawasaki. So I'm trying something new there. I'm trying to put the sponsors first, Christian.
We did that.
I know. I felt a bit dirty, to be honest. It was weird how we started that. So obviously you've already heard
the bits for invoicing in first, then we can crack on.
That's it. We've got to work it, mate. We've got to work it. So you can already hear the co-host tonight is the amazing Christian Iddon. We are down at Oulton Park with 27 time. I'm looking at him. He's going to hopefully nod. 20 times 7 winner. I'm totally messing this up. The Northwest 27-time winner and British Superbike rider for the Cinetic BMW team, Alastair Seeley. How we doing, son?
I'm good. Thanks for the invite.
Well, sorry for being well over half an hour late. I do apologise. There you go. So,
but we now both know how to set up this whole rig.
100%. We are stuffed without Grace. Grace Rouse here.
I'll just add my time on the invoice here at the end.
Right, well, that's the end of the show. It's been a good bit of crack. So, now, I always talk about this, but we have, you end up having the pre-crack before the crack, which is what we're doing now. And I totally and utterly forgot you two were teammates. When was that?
Well, actually, we were more than teammates, as in we both rode the Superbike, which was, I think you only rode it here.
Was it 2018 maybe?
I can actually remember, it's not a great memory for you perhaps, but I picked you up, you'd crashed at Druids.
Yes, that's right.
And you got a lift back on the back of the bike.
Yeah, nobody else would pick me up. And there's Christian, and then of course me getting on the motorbikes, just the whole handling, so no passenger foot pegs to pull myself onto, so it was pretty much run and jump and get on. But thanks for the lift, mate. And the advice that weekend, I was all right in the wet, but in the dry I was struggling a bit, and I was kind of leaning on you a bit for how do you get these superbikes around here?
But 18, what were you riding you were in the stock though at the time, weren't you?
What was I doing at the time? It might even have been 17, because I was doing GP2 at the time with the Spirit GP2, and then Giuliano had been hurt, so obviously the 34 was on the bike. We didn't have to change numbers.
Didn't have to change the numbers.
No, just walked in and jumped onto his bike.
Get rid of Italian Dave and replace him with Alastair.
I'll tell you what, before we go back to the beginning of your career, can we talk about Italian Dave? What was all that about? There's loads of insider crack for the podcast listeners.
Don't look at me. It's all his doing.
Yeah, it was when Davide Giuliano came over to BSB. He was at the time pretty much one of the biggest things,
right.
One of the biggest World Superbike riders, Ducati factory ride. Well, Ducati's golden boy, really. I think that year he'd scored podiums in World Superbike, and he was pretty good. Came to BSB and
got the shock of his life.
I think he did, yeah. I'll never forget it. Right, so the first time we went testing, I was sat opposite him. We were at I'm not sure exactly the track. It was either Almeria or Cartagena, right? And I sat down in my seat, and I was completely opposite to Davide, right? And he sat down in his seat, and first run out, and I was just sat there sort of in a bit of a world of my own. And he's getting ready for his first run out, and he's got his leathers on, he's sat in his seat, and he just puts one hand up, and all of a sudden this glove just went on his hand.
Shut up, man.
Honestly.
Uccio.
He had this dude, this Uccio.
This is the O.J. Simpson of motorcycle racing.
And I knew I'm never going to make it in life until I've got a man that puts my gloves on for me. And it was just so perfect. The way, his hand just went up and this glove it was like magic. It was like watching David Blaine, but a glove version.
So I take it he gets his ass wiped too then.
So then, yeah. Well, he got his ass wiped in the race, so he then flipping went out. Didn't know who. I don't think half the riders were in, but he didn't know who I was, and that's fine. But he didn't he expected obviously to win everything.
Yeah.
And then, struggled at the first round, which was Donington, which is a track I think he's certainly put on pole position there in World Superbikes.
Yeah.
And I think he finished 13th, was his best there. Crashed at Brands and then just went home.
And just with his tail between his legs.
I think he hurt himself, didn't he? He hurt his neck or something at Brands, so it was pretty much
his pride, I think.
Was it? Yeah. I thought it was a bigger do than what they made out to be. He was actually hurt, but
yeah. Well, there was the thing about it that he was hurt, but then he managed to somehow be very hurt and still ride the Honda World Superbike later in the year. So.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I think he wanted out. But yeah, that's Italian Dave.
Italian Dave show.
So Davide, it's a posh Davide, isn't it? Italian Dave.
I know this is Alastair Seeley's interview, but I must do something in-house at the moment. Now, we did the last interview with just the 4 lads, and the day after, there was a bit of World Superbike news, or BSB news, the fact that your World Superbike Oulton got stricken from the records from the Bermuda ride.
Oh, did you never know about that?
I had no, you think
Oh,
you know
we'll
a
save
guy,
that for another
Seeley. You
day.
think you know
I've seen a snippet of it.
No, but I want to talk about, are you
Really?
gutted that's been what do you mean really? The fact that you've been to World Superbikes and, everything's been stripped away from you. That's a bit...
Well, it always was. We never scored any points.
So it was a bike
It's not new news.
Oh,
It's
right.
just...
Well, it's new to me. It's new to me.
The
right?
bike wasn't
It's new to me.
homologated or something,
No,
was
it was a full-on cheat. So
Yeah.
it was... It was.
Cheater bike.
It was.
Well, why were you not winning?
Ouch! You're not getting picked up again.
Sorry,
Yeah,
Chris.
like that.
Sorry, Christian.
You had your chance, Seeley. You had your chance. Where did we go from here? What was your first cheating bike then? What was your...
I always got told that I was riding a 750 Suzuki back when I won 2011.
Yes.
2011.
I remember those rumours.
You know?
The pride in your voice. I heard that.
Yeah, I knew
rumour.
it. It was as well. I was on the in and it was.
Yeah, 2011, so 600 Suzuki, and it obviously has a great chassis, but the engine was never really that strong, but we managed to get it to go around corners and done what we had to do to win races. So yeah, some people says that was a 750. Say what they want, trophies in my house.
So,
I love it, mate. Love it.
but that was the year you won the British Super Sport.
Remember me and Ben?
So that's the main way that I know Alastair in terms of how I look up to him, because that was just, we'll get onto it, but that was some season. But let's go back.
Yeah, I was about to say, that's like the main season. But
that was unreal.
Obviously the cliche question on this, and what I enjoy about these interviews particularly is you get to unravel, how someone actually started in racing and what the hell got you into it, son. Well, you are Northern Irish, it's like football to you lads, isn't it? So.
Pretty much like a lot of lads. My dad used to do it, and
all right,
he sort of done a bit of road racing, bit of short circuit. I hear stories that he used to ride the bike down the roads to Mandela Park, race it and ride it home, that type of stuff. But he always had sort of dirt bikes for me whenever I was growing up. So we were going to the fields and the police were chasing us off it because it was council property and stuff like that. So I went competitive motocross racing when I was 14 to I was 17. And then my mates started going to pubs and clubs when they were 17 and telling me how good this was. And I was like, I have to try this. So parked the motocross bike, went to pubs and clubs, and more or less finished with motocross. That was me done.
That must have been one hell of a night out. Can we talk about it? You know what I mean? There was just everything everywhere.
Sell it all. Sell it all.
It was a hell of a club. And
It's how we got the name Wizards. There was a few sleeves kicking around after that.
the hormones at that age, 17, like motocross just took a back seat, chasing women. Done it for 3 or 4 years, and then my dad said, look, let's go.
You're not getting anywhere.
Let's go and try tarmac racing. So I went short circuit racing July 2000, and the rest is history. That was me.
So it wasn't really your choice. You were just sort of like,
He more or less says he probably seen I was going down slippery slope, drinking in the pubs, clubs, wasting my money, pissing it up against the wall. Let's go and try short circuit racing. Bought a wee cheap 1994 RS125 Honda. We were in the 2000s, so it was a dated bike at that time, but it was more or less start at the bottom of the ladder, chip away and just enjoy it, and then things progressed and new bikes got bought.
And was this obviously on native soil in Northern Ireland?
Just short circuits in Northern Ireland, so I never really had any ambition to go road racing. But then, of course, I decided to do the Ulster Grand Prix, which was Dundroad 150 back in the day.
Yeah.
Done Dundroad 150, so I've been around the Ulster Grand Prix circuit
Right.
for an event, and then went to the Northwest the following year, and then enjoyed it, and I kind of was weighing up the two of them, and then I went the Northwest direction and left the Dundroad 150. You didn't know that?
I had no idea about that because, obviously, with all that 27 wins, just Googled it.
You thought I was just a Northwest person and never rode.
Well, that's the thing, because obviously, Matt, like these questions naturally accumulate, but why not the TT and why? And that was going to be one of my questions. Why not the Ulster? But now I've been very lucky to do all three, and it's actually.
You love it.
Well, no, but your super sport career, everything that you can do on a bike, you would think the Ulster would be a more natural attraction for enjoyment for you? It's all corners. It's all, you know what it's.
I think it wasn't the.
We're skipping the whole career. Let's go straight.
It wasn't the circuit that actually done it for me for the Northwest. It was probably the whole buzz of the thing. You know, the circuit's good. Northwest, you've got all that speed and stuff, but Dundrod, it's not really a great location for to have a road race. It's in the middle of a mountain area, and
That
it
is
usually pisses down. And you can go to one place for a piss up, is at the Ballymac.
Around
the corner. Yeah. Whereas
First right turn left.
Port Stewart is like Anchor
Aye.
or plenty of restaurants and seaside resorts and beaches and family, and yeah, it seems a bit more catchy.
Right, so I think you've already answered this question, but if you could put the Ulster circuit
Up at the north coast.
aye,
Yeah.
which one would you rather do?
Well, now that I've been round the Northwest and know it like the back of my hand and only done Dundrod once, it was very, very enjoyable now
Aye.
doing Dundrod because I done a support race and I qualified second row, finished fourth in the race, but I pretty much lapped the circuit on my own, and it was enjoyable. It was like 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning, the sun was shining, I passed about 2-3 people or something, so it felt like the TT, nobody to chase and just me on the road, but it was good, it was fast and enjoyable, and people say it's like a billiard table. There's hardly any bumps at the Ulster Grand Prix. Like, obviously I haven't been since, it must have been 2003 I done the Dundrod 150,
Aye.
so a lot has changed since 2003. Like,
But even so, you hit the nail on the head there. It's so there's only a couple of little bits, but when you compare it against the TT, it's like 37 miles of public road. It's hard to like actually make that all smooth, but it is really smooth. I'm glad you said that, because it is.
well, the way the Northwest going now is a bit like a motocross track.
No wonder you're good at it.
They're putting that many patches around the place now. It's like you need your gum shield on.
Bloody, I tell you what, we're skipping the whole like I could just go straight into the Northwest crack here, but I don't want to quite yet. But I must ask, like, how good were you on a motocross bike then? You know, to actually
you
fuck
still
it off.
do a lot of motocross, don't you? Like,
Yeah,
I see you always...
training wise, I think because I have it as my background. So I done it schoolboy 14, 15, 16, 17. So those 4 years you kind of get the fundamentals of riding sand and muck and dirt. Obviously it's good for training because of the physical side of it. And you know, I always kind of say we can do 30-minute motos around McGilligan, which is deep sand.
That's like
beside
the prison,
beach.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you can do rattle out 2-3 30-minute motos, you know, it should be equivalent to like when you go around Oulton or Cadwell. It's good for you, and to me in my career it's done me good stead, you know, for fitness wise.
And is there any reason why you went, instead of going back to motocross, you went to the tarmac? Because obviously it's like you'd never done tarmac, and then you've had a bit of time off clubbing and
I think
doing whatever you're doing.
My dad maybe seen
all the above and other stuff.
You mean like getting your fingers
started with
Sorry, censor that out there.
I didn't know if your missus was going to listen or not. I'll leave it.
She will, of course. She wants a mention. Hello, Dan.
Hello, darling. This never happened.
So why not back to motocross? Was there a reason, or was it just
I think
let's
probably
go racing?
I think when I rode motocross, I was probably like really good at things like barley stubble racing, where it's really fast.
Yeah.
Whereas the more sandy, jumpy stuff, I wasn't really much of a jumper. Still not really much of a jumper. I would prefer to, if it was a flat sand track like which McGilligan can be. I just prefer the fitness side of it. Deep sand's hard work, but probably size didn't suit me either. Like I struggled to get on the bloody superbike and a Super Sport 600 bike. So getting on the 250F, or at the time when I was 15, 16, I was trying to climb on board a Yamaha 125 and a Kawasaki, and it was like I had a starting block, a wooden starting block. You know, you see now the blocks have came back out. It's a thing to have. Well, I should have like copyrighted them when I was a schoolboy, because I had a block, like a breeze block about this height, and only had it for like my left side, so obviously right foot on the peg, left foot on the block, and as soon as I went, that was me. So if the gate hadn't dropped, I was boof fall over. So I always struggle with the height of a motocross bike, and you see me getting on this super bike, it's a bit of a struggle. But
I must ask now, the one question that always goes with the motocross question is, what was your dad like? You know, the motocross dad element, was he like that, or was he quite like, someone had to put the block there?
Because you said he was an ex-racer, so at least...
Yeah.
Well, I've been with my lad through the motocross thing, and
so what are you like?
Yes.
So I was always pretty calm, you know.
Was. You said the word was.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Well, he's not doing it anymore, so
It went that well.
yeah.
If you don't stretch the full throttle, you're getting off it.
He hurt his knee real bad. He had to have his knee reconstructed. So
Really?
I kind of parked the motocross for him.
You decided to.
Yeah, he got from 6 to 14, and things were starting to progress quite quickly on a big wheel 85.
All right.
And then career was more or less. I decided he had to have his knee rebuilt, and I was kind of like at 14, knee rebuilt, going back to motocross. I was like, I don't really want him to maybe do it again or do it to another knee, because they say when you have like a knee rebuilt there'd be more chance of arthritis. And
Yeah.
I kind of, so what I done was I bought him one of these Bucci 190 Bucci pit bikes,
Aye.
and I've sort of took him the last 2 years to Nuts Corner, which is a go-kart track.
Yeah, yeah.
And you ride the pit bikes around it, and he got on well, was racing it and got star rider of the meeting and finished like 4th, 5th, 6th, somewhere around that. For a newcomer, it was pretty good, but again, he's now hitting the age where he's 16 coming 17, he's coming to the age where he's finding going out with his mates, and he loves the gym. He loves gym life, so pumping iron and looking good for the chicks is probably his thing.
So in 3 more years, you're going to get taken back to the tarmac. And...
That's
Could be, yeah. The bike's there. He can play on it if he wants.
but you're saying, like, you know, going back to your story, it was a bit like your dad saying, right, you're going down a slippery slope here.
Yeah.
You're coming tarmac racing.
Yeah.
Now, is that something, knowing what you've been through, you know, and you know how difficult the game's becoming, you know, the politics and everything like that, and how early you've got to start to get up to the ranks, can you see doing that for your son? You
I'll wait till he asks me, because he's going to be obviously big enough and old enough to say, Dad, I might want to crack at this. Well, and depends what slippery slope he might end up going down. You know, hopefully he's wise enough. You know, he's very well educated. He's quite a smart kid.
And the price of drink is just disgusting at the minute. You know what I mean? So the fact that
as long as he takes drink and that switches to the other stuff,
you're not wrong.
Spice and all that nonsense like that, it's scary when you see some of the stuff they're on now. And
oh Jesus,
sample a wee bit of this plant here or whatever they do.
You're not wrong though, because that is a proper slippery slope. But it's like, you know. Let's talk hypothetically, you know what I mean? You're a father yourself, you know. If you saw your son doing that and you thought, what other option? No, would you go down the motorbike route again and go, right, you come race with me, or what would you do as parents?
It's definitely
like now, both being racers, superbike racers at that. It's quite.
Yeah. I think that the paddock in general is a good environment to have.
Yeah.
To be brought up in.
Yeah.
I think it's
for sure.
full of good people.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of focused people that are, good focused people. And so I think it's a good environment to be in.
Any kind of sport, you know, if you try and go follow any sport, you know, football, hockey for the girls, it kind of keeps them off the streets a bit, where you usually find street corners can be a bad place to be at times, and you don't know what goes on, you know, especially like generations change.
Aye.
You know, when I was a nipper, the stuff that we done was frowned upon, and now the stuff that they do, you'd be like, no way. You just don't know. Things change all the time, so you hope they go down the right road and stay out of trouble. That's the main thing.
Because have you only got the one son, or you got a herd back at home?
No, I've got
because you've only got one to start with, haven't you?
Yeah.
You got anyway.
Oh, no, that wasn't news. That wasn't like news.
You make an announcement here, right?
Yeah, we've got a bit. No, but have you got?
I've got a lad to a previous relationship, and then my missus now, Danny. We have a 6-year-old Olivia. She is.
You got one of each.
You know the way they talk about the second child and the being crazy.
Yeah.
Well, I can say that Olivia is the second child, and she is mad as a box of frogs. So if she goes motocross racing or whatever, she'll be like first corner, T-bone everybody like a bowling ball.
Oh, so she's motocrossing?
No, I've got her a Pee-wee 50.
All right.
But I'm kind of like, Mum would take her motocross, no problem. But because I've been with a lad and I've done it from KTM 50 to 65 to 85 small wheel to big wheel 85, and then obviously we finished. I've been through the winters, the motocross tracks.
You've done it.
I've done it. I've kind of have to go and do it all again. But if the wee girl shows interest, it's like,
I mean, at the moment, it's a great time in racing to be a girl and go racing. To be fair, like there's a lot of hype around it.
Well, I find the football thing has kicked off big time.
Yeah,
ladies football. Mm-hmm. Because of the World Cup thing, England won the World Cup. Arsenal, I support Arsenal, so does Lewis, and Danny has to now as well. And Olivia, we buy her the Arsenal kits. She might not support them, but we buy her the kits. So Arsenal.
Your dad dressed you this morning.
Arsenal ladies is probably one of the top ladies football teams in England. So, you know, if Olivia decides to go, she does play football at the minute, but it's kind of like we have her playing football, she rides her bike, she does everything and anything. It's just, you don't want to just drive them down that one road. Try this, try that.
Here's a question. If you only had to pick one for your kid, which one would it be? Would you prefer him go down the football route or the motorbike route?
More money in football, isn't it?
There is
football.
that would be my
100%
answer.
football.
That, it would, like, I remember Chrissy, was a hell of a footballer. I used to ask him all the time, going, why didn't you become a full professional footballer? And then you would have had all the cheddar in the world to pump into your bikes. And he just went, we football shite, innit?
There's probably...
Just like that was just Chrissy through that though, wasn't it? You know what I mean?
I would say there's probably more young kids, boys and girls, trying to make the football thing, so then it makes it very hard because there is so many. So you talk about Arsenal having an academy. Like, how many boys and girls goes into the academy of Arsenal to try and actually make the first team? You know, you've the first, the seconds, the thirds, the fourths, and then the progression to get up to the first team, like. And then obviously they go through the academy, they reach that age where their mates are going to pubs and they're like, come on to the pub and stop playing football. How do you be like blinkers on and blank them out and go football? It's hard. Like, it's just...
You see, the mad thing, like,
it's hard.
The mad thing is, because obviously I would see, like, our sport, and obviously I'm very biased in this, takes a lot more sacrifice. You know what I mean? There's a bigger risk. There's a more financial risk. There's more weekends away. I know this is a very biased opinion on it, but when you think, I don't know enough about football, but when you think, you get up Sunday, you get your boots on, you go play, you kick around, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm getting at? And I just think how people with any remote skill set or talent, even with football, haven't got the blinkers. I find that quite frustrating.
I think to get to the top in any sport is
It's so
equally
hard.
as difficult, and I think actually probably them academies and stuff, there's as much probably financial put in, like you talk about, there's all the tennis players and stuff, and you think they come from nowhere, but they haven't. They flipping been in every
A
academy.
bit like golf too, isn't it? You kind of, if you have a bit of backing, you'll maybe be sent to America, and you'll go on to the PGA Tour or whatever it is. I don't know a massive amount of golf, but I think that's the case. If you have a bit of money behind you, it's easier to progress with the golf thing.
Money talks, kids. Simple as that.
But going back to your story, so when you switched to the tarmac, how easy did it come to you?
Oh, good question.
I was going through rear brake pads quicker than front brake pads. Yeah, because I was just standing on the back brake into the corners.
No one had told you any different.
No, I was
Brilliant.
just skidding and locking up, and that's the way it went for a while. And it's one of them ones that I think the first race I went to, there was a thing over home called clubman racing, and then there was national racing. So I was a clubman, but the first race I went to was a national meeting, so I was basically out with a bib on, and I thought coming off motocross, I was flying, and the next minute it was a 125 class, so the top 125 men came around to lap me, and I was flying in this corner thinking I was on it, and the next minute, woof, 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 there's like 125 racing's usually closely stacked, so I just got buzzed into this corner by 5 or 6 125 guys, and they just woof, woof on its side and gone, and I was like, that just demoralised me. I thought I was flying, and then obviously for me it's always been you have to progression, isn't it? You just can't beat yourself up and say, that's me done. I'm crap here. I'm slow. You just got to chip away at it, and
so that obviously didn't put you off.
No,
Carried on. At what point did you start to think, or did it start to be that you sort of made those progressions that you got to the point that you may be at the front, or you moved up to the nationals, or how did it then go on from there?
I stayed at home probably for too long because I was racing at home, watching British Supersport races, Michael Laverty on the Vitrans Honda way back in the day, AIM Yamahas and stuff, thinking I want to be part of that. But
did you only start watching tarmac racing because you were involved in it at that point, or have you always followed it up to that point?
I always followed it. So my dad was obviously a big bike one, but
right,
back in the days when you had Doohan, Schwantz, Rainey, Crevilla, all them, I'd have watched them like religiously.
So it
Grand Prix racing.
So like stepping into that 125 race, you very much knew what it was taking to be at that level. It wasn't like a new shock to you.
It wasn't alien to you. I kind of knew what to be at. But I just didn't have, that confidence to squeeze on the side of the tire front brake and skidding into corners on the rear brake. It just progression, isn't it? You look back at photographs and you're wearing like Risha leathers and Diodora boots and...
I am now. What are you on about? don't
I
knock
wish
a
I
man's
had-
style. Don't.
I wish I'd have kept all that stuff, so I do. But no, it's... So started off July 2000, then 2001 was 125 Clubman Championship, finished third, I think it was. The following year I got a 125 gig in the Nationals, won like the first race in the wet. I think halfway through that year I switched to a 600, so my dad had bought me an FZR 600, just for some reason he maybe thought I needed to go to a bigger bike, but anyway it was an FZR 600, quite an old one. Rode it alright, but then 2004 was probably the first year where we got a brand new 600 Suzuki, and it was like sort of like do it ourselves. But it was the first year I actually put quite a bit of effort into training, and I would probably say
How old were you at this point?
24.
24.
Yeah. So the training thing for me was the biggest thing that I felt made a jump in results. That when I started to train properly and train harder.
By train, you mean physical training?
Physical training, yeah. Yeah, just like being able to manhandle the 600 and not feel puffed or out of breath. Whereas before you'd have jumped on the 600 and rode it and then you got knackered and you were scrap. Whereas started training, I was like, flip. And this is good because I can finish a race and I'm not blowing and all. So from then it was like train every year.
And was that like externally to the motocross, or were you still motocross training?
No, not really. Not then,
alright.
because we were more or less like, right, this is circuit racing, but it was more whenever probably started to go to the end of my Irish stuff, sort of 2005, 2006, maybe got a motocross bike for the winter.
Right.
And then ever since that, had a motocross bike to train on.
And that 04, 05, 06, that seems to have been like the real time when that really kick-started your career. So that was your first time at the Northwest in 04?
04, yeah.
And you got a couple of wins in Supersport that year in Ireland?
But not at the Northwest, so I was winning like
at the
Ulster or
in the
Irish
Ulster
Supersport Championship, and then 2005 won the Irish Superbike Championship, and then 2006 won Irish Supersport and Irish Superbike Championship together.
And this is before you came over to British soil?
Came over and it was 2007 to BSB.
2007, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah, 27 before I came over.
So like Christian was saying, it was like you already did the Northwest at this point beforehand.
Yeah, I had done it for 3 years before I came to BSB.
So there's the question then. What made you go from like the Irish scene of like doing that and thought, let's have a crack at road racing?
Yeah.
What was your mindset of go bollocks?
or coming to the UK? Because
I was lucky because
someone's setting the camera up.
We're getting robbed.
was that you again, Christian? So obviously I was like the big fish in the wee pond at home. So I was kind of dominating and winning everything at home. So I needed to make the next progression, which was go to BSB. But obviously I never really had the backing or the teams to go. So it ended up, there was a new team started in 2007 called Vanfit Yamaha, or were starting. They were a brand new, fresh team. And this guy was travelling back and forward to Northern Ireland, back to here, whatever he was doing. He might have been buying and selling classic bikes or motorbikes of some sort. He got talking to Eddie Mateer, who would have been a guy who ran a paper magazine back home. And Eddie Mateer had passed my name on to this guy who was starting this brand new Superstock team in England. And it was NCT Vanfit Yamaha. So he bought brand new Yamaha R1s for 2007. I had a New Zealand teammate came over, Hayden Fitzgerald, who was obviously fast back home. So this new team was developed and I was one of the riders and Hayden Fitzgerald was the other rider on Yamaha R1s. And basically that was my learning year of BSB, to come and try and race and learn the tracks.
And that was Stock 1000 in 07.
Stock 1000 in 07.
Did you have to bring money to this team?
No, lucky enough I was
Really?
straight away free ride.
Wow.
I think I just had to get myself to BSB and get myself home.
Aye.
But when I landed, everything was taken care of. So you don't get that nowadays.
Including the guy who puts your gloves on.
I don't have a guy anymore. It's Danny does that. But no, it was a bit. I know now it's unheard of to really get free rides at that.
So soon
even
on
now,
in your career.
even- yeah,
However,
yeah.
obviously you came over as
As
basically a 3-time Irish Superbike champion and Supersport champion.
Yeah, but I got my eyes open because the very first round was Brands GP. and I never qualified.
But had you ridden any of the tracks beforehand?
No.
Not even a track day.
No.
Not even got any push bike to come have a pedal round.
We went to Mallory Park for a shakedown, and then we went to Snetterton for a BSB test, and I crashed at the bomb hole. Banged my head. Rang me bell, as they say. And then we went to Brands GP, and there was 40 on the grid, and I think I was like 43rd. So I didn't qualify from first race, and watched my first Superstock race on the Paddock Hill Bend.
And how did your teammate get in?
I think he did, but what helped? Looking back, I think he did, but what saved him probably was he came from, do you know the way in New Zealand, Australia they race wintertime, our wintertime? Mm-hmm. So he had a full season of New Zealand Championship.
He'd already ridden, and
he came over to.
That's a good excuse.
See, all them years of Irish super sport riding, he's like, I've got the excuse here. Well done, right? I've done my homework on him. This is the crack.
I knew this was coming, so I never thought out. But no, didn't qualify.
You didn't qualify, but then obviously progressed well enough.
The main person who came to me at Brands Hatch was Billy Nutt. You remember Marty Nutt?
Bloody hell.
His dad, Billy, who used to run the Northwest years and years ago. He more or less was standing beside me in Paddock Hill, I think it was, and he said, look, you don't become a bad rider overnight. This not qualifying, he says, don't let it beat you up, don't let it get you down, keep your chin up, keep chipping away. And of course I took on his advice and went to the second round, qualified. Every round after that qualified, and then again just progress. And you know what it's like, if you get thrown into the deep end, it's nearly like you learn faster from faster riders.
100%.
So like I came in, Steve Brogan was the man back then. I think he won the championship the year before, or won the championship that year, 2007. Do you remember he had like a Tego Honda gig where it was like tennis golf?
I don't remember that.
So he knew a footballer, a professional footballer, Alan Smith, some boy Smith maybe.
Right.
And he had give a load of money to Brogy, and Brogy had started his own sort of Honda.
We'll have to look that one up.
I know, no, it's a shame that didn't, like, getting football, if we could get football involved in bike racing, it would be, but we're talking about money.
Have you any list change?
Just start shaking them out. The Maseratis.
Who was the bit off topic?
Tango Honda, I think it was.
Who was the guy who wore the orange glasses? Didn't he start putting money into
Elton John?
Bike racing? No, footballer. I'm sure he played for Arsenal, I think. That's going to come to me. That's annoying.
David, the boy that wore the glasses on the football pitch, and he was
on the football pitch.
The only one was allowed to wear them. They were like tinted glasses.
Didn't he? Yeah. Like they were like the ones
Davids, was it?
That's it.
Edgar Davids.
You wear them in the rain.
And what did he do?
I thought he put some money into a team or something.
No, the guy that Brogy knew was obviously, must have been from Liverpool.
Right.
Played for Liverpool or was from Liverpool. I'm near sure his name was Smith. Andy Smith or Alan Smith.
We'll have to get Brogy back on to confirm this.
Yeah. But his Honda was called like Tango, so it was like a mixture between tennis and golf or something like that anyway. Maybe I was told that and that's a load of nonsense.
Brogy's at home now, can't he? That's a believe that. What a dick.
Brogy was the man because he was qualifying pole position. And obviously I came over and I was like looking up to him, but I remember like following around places like here at Oulton Park and just learning. Like when he passed me, I was like, that's how you do it. So you just learn off faster riders how you're supposed to do it and pick up on things that they do.
I tell you what, I must go back a few. The fact that you just stepped straight into the road scene. I want to go through your first. Was your first road race the Northwest or the Ulster? It was the Ulster.
Ulster was first, and then went to the Northwest.
What was your opinion on it? I must ask, because it's like, how did you enjoy it? You haven't really talked about it. Are you more proud of roads or shorts? You know what I mean?
Probably because it was a Suzuki 600 in the Northwest on the first time. So
you even bought that.
I didn't
820.
It might have been a 600 because we didn't do very much on it. To be honest, I can't remember very much of the first few years. Memories only start coming back when I started to get close to the podium.
Yeah.
Which was 2006, and I finished fourth in the second Supersport race at the Northwest. So like 2004, 2005 are a blur. I think it on a Suzuki 600 2004 finished 17th or 18th, and then the next year I came and rode it on a R1 Superstock race, finished 11th or 9th or something like that. I'm not sure.
In Northwest regards, who was your competition at this point?
The top men?
Yeah.
Plater, Rudder, McGuinness.
Yeah.
Flip. There was Shan from Scotland, Les Shan.
Yeah. No, but like
Ian Locker, all them old timers.
no, but it's mad to think that we've just kind of just skipped over it, and the names are coming, but you just think that element, that does work in your favour to get the ride in that, that free ride at the BSB.
Do you think that worked in your favour? The
Northwest?
In the Northwest?
Yeah.
Even at that point in your career?
Yeah. More 2006 when I finished that second Supersport race, finished fourth and passed John McGuinness on the last lap. Because then it was like...
Yeah, that's a big scalp.
The phone,
it's a huge scalp.
The phone started ringing.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Paul Phillips, Isle of Man, because that result had arrived, he was like, do you want to do a TT and we'll look after you and we'll bring you over, we'll help you learn it. We'll milk you and all. And I was just like, you know what? I kind of set out my stall at the very beginning that I only wanted to do one road race and keep road racing to like a minimum. So the main aim for me was to try and progress through the circuit thing. To everybody's thing is to go BSB, then Worlds, then MotoGP, But BSB is where we got to, and the road race thing was like, right, let's start off as a bit of fun, Northwest, and then within third year I was knocking on the door of a podium, and then the fourth year, 2008, was my first win.
Yeah, so I was just going to say that first win came in that year when you were, I guess, building up your time in the UK.
Oh, sorry, 2007 was a podium result, and then 2008 was my first win. So it kind of went from fourth to second podium in 2007, and then 2008 was Dyson with Relentless Suzuki boys, Cameron Donald, Bruce Anstey, and I was on the JMF Yamaha just kind of holding station, and then Bruce passed Cameron on slipstream into Juniper, overcooked it, went across the grass, and then I went past Cameron too, kind of followed Bruce through on the slipstream. Bruce couldn't get turned, and then I just nipped in and got me first.
Do you know, it's amazing watching that story being told. It's as if like it was 5 minutes ago.
I know, and that's what I mean. It's fact
so
that
clear, isn't it? In your own mind, that's mega.
You just replay it over and over and over again, don't you? Especially the first one. The first one's the most special because they've came like London buses does it after that. And
going into that race, did you think you had a chance? Was that how and where was that in the week schedule of racing? Like, was it?
It was Saturday, probably maybe my last race, because at that time, did we have a superbike? I can't remember. Towards the end of Saturday.
Yeah.
So the two Relentless Suzuki boys were obviously fast motorbikes, professional team, and I was kind of not supposed to be slotted in there, but I was kind of getting dragged along with them too, and then I was like in the right place at the right time.
But with TAS Racing at that point, were you
big
on
rivals?
No, they're big rivals, but were you on the radar with them, like kind of like thinking, let's see how he gets on? And
no, I think
really?
I was seen as a wee shite back then. I think even whenever I got to join them, I was like, right, let's take this one step at a time.
Tiptoe in.
I probably was like, I think I get a bad vibe of like he's hard work, but anybody that's worked with me, I'd probably say, no, that's not true. I'm all right to work with. I say, oh, he's hard work, but carry that thing around with me, that label, but I'm all right. Christian knows he's been a teammate of mine. I don't stand there and go, love.
You will now. I'll tell you what, if you two do at the same time in two separate garages, every other rider will be going, why the fuck do I not get that way? It's
I did love guy.
Like Kyle Ryan. Right? They'll be like, come on, sort it out. They are.
We need to start something this weekend, don't we?
Call them the fluffers. But like, I must ask, how tempted were you when Paul Phillips rang you and said, look, come to the TT?
And how lucrative was the temptation?
No, not even that. But
there was no chat of money, so it wouldn't even have been money that tempted me to go. It was the fact that I never wanted to go there.
Well,
never wanted to do it. As in, like, I wish I had £1 for every time I was asked, why don't you do the TT? Because I'd be richer, rich man.
It's quite refreshing to hear, like, knowing people skate around it, and it's like you just didn't want to go. Like, I compete in the TT, and I find that really like quite hard to hear. I mean, why the hell don't you want to go?
I guess it's more interesting as a question because you do the roads.
Yeah.
So I think that's what makes it so.
No, but you've done the
such
Ulster.
a different question.
No, but you've done the Ulster, you've done the Northwest. It's like you haven't just tiptoed around the edge.
I was starting to go down that sort of path of going that way, but doing the Ulster, and then when I went to the Northwest, it was right.
What put you off the TT then?
I think it's just there's a lot of people, statistics and stuff. You know, there's a lot of people who hasn't came home, and being a family man at that time and stuff, I would have rather not go.
So did you already have a young family at that time?
Oh wait. Yeah, Lewis was 2006.
Right.
Yeah, so he was
already in your mind.
Yeah.
What about Macau then? You know, when you're looking at the Schwants, you know, like the Glens, you know, you're thinking, you know, like you look at all the other road racers who...
It was never really on the radar.
Which is it? It'd be interesting to see you around Macau.
I've heard of the...
It'd be good to see the pair of you.
It's clubbing.
the after party would be good.
We had Feo on last time. Like, we'll get you in that nightclub 100% straight away.
Never came home from the Macau.
A few teams were like... Because I don't know what way it works. Maybe the teams are paid to go to be there, and everything's covered for you. So they were like, just go and ride the bike and ride it down the Lisboa corner. Is that turn 2 after the back straight? And then just like say, pull the plug lead off or something, say the bike broke down, get paid your money and go home. But you go there, you'd end up riding around.
Yeah,
and
100%.
You might like it and say, this is all right.
So you're actually a bit worried about enjoying it?
I suppose with a TT too, you know, but I think listening to Josh Brooks, and Josh Brooks loves his motocross, his jet skiing, his extreme sports, and I remember one time asking Josh after he had done it, and I says, you know, TT, you know, what's it like? And he says, there's extreme sports and then there's the TT. So it's like, obviously it's out there where... You've done it.
I've done it. I love it, but I don't see it as extreme. I don't. I just...
Yeah, but it's not wrong
it's
with
an
you.
extreme...
Look, there's been plenty wrong with me, son. But in the same breath, though,
it's an extreme learning process, isn't it?
I arguably say the Northwest is more dangerous.
Well, at mass start, isn't it?
No, that's the thing. Mass start and everything on the chicanes. You know, your flat out speeds. You know, the engines are more risk. I'm not going down the road of like trying to slag off the Northwest. Far from it. Every race in itself has a danger element.
Yeah.
But me as a racer, I remember having this conversation a few times with Chrissy. It's like the TT is an inanimate object. The rider makes it dangerous. Mechanicals happen on short circuits. Mechanicals could happen at the Northwest.
Yeah.
Any circuit. But the TT, you make it dangerous. You know, if you want to cut the curve a bit hard and go a bit wider, it's not dangerous in itself. It's just, that's my opinion on it. You know what I mean?
And they say, because you set off in 10-second intervals, that it's just you on the road then. It's up to you. But I don't know. I just kind of, as I say, I set out to do circuits and try and make that progress. And started off road racing. Right, Ulster Grand Prix, right, I've tried it, got the t-shirt, go to the Northwest, flip it like this place, this is good, atmosphere is good buzz about it, and then that was it, just kind of stuck with it.
Would you say, like, obviously, you said about the learning element, it would take a lot to learn to go around the Isle of Man.
Yeah.
And obviously your short circuit career was now going really good.
Yeah.
So did you not want to detract as well, potentially? Because obviously you've got the Northwest, you've got it dialed, that's almost like, not in the back pocket, because nothing's easy, but you know, like, you're the man around there.
Yeah.
And then also you're doing really well at the short, so is it just not wanting to detract too much as well?
Probably. I wanted to see how far I could go in the Superstock thing, and then I was lucky enough where when I done Superstock in 2007 with that team, that sort of free ride for the year, the team changed riders for the following year, 2008, but they didn't hang on to me, so they took Connor Cummins for the following year and somebody else, can't remember. So what I done was I took my crew chief, Derek Huxley, who I was talking to outside there before I came in.
Was that him?
Derek Huxley.
Oh, right.
So he was with me with the NCT VanFit.
You should have dragged him in, man, yourself. You know what I mean? Sit him at you.
He's quite shy, probably wouldn't talk. He's very laid back too. But I took him with me and we done a privateer thing in 2008. So the Yamaha R1s that we rode in 2007, more or less we went and bought a 2008 Yamaha R1, which didn't change bike. So he had all my information from 2007, and then we kind of went with a van and a bike in it and some tools and a spare engine and stuff and done it out of the back of the van. But it allowed me my second year in Superstock 1000.
Yeah.
So the first year I think I finished 10th in the championship, and the second year I finished 4th.
Even after not qualifying at the first round, there was that much progression.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I think in the first year did I or didn't I? I might have finished on the podium maybe once or twice.
That's incredible.
I think towards the end of the year.
Yeah.
But then the second year, we definitely knocked out a couple of podiums, but it must have been consistently around 3rd, 4th, 5th to finish 4th in the championship.
And that's what sort of drew the attention of
the Relentless Suzuki thing. No, it actually came about through. So 07 was NCT Vanfit Yamaha. Then 2008 was a privateer. It was actually called Ray Estates Yamaha.
Personal. Rare Estates.
Ray.
Ray.
No, like Johnny Ray.
Oh, Johnny Ray, right? Like fucking Rare Estates.
It's just how we say. It's like how we say mirror on the wall. Mirror. But that's another thing.
Well, we've just named the title of the show for that. For Grace.
Yeah, how's she going to spell it?
She'll figure it out.
Have a look in the mirror. So, 2008, Ray Estates.
There you are.
2009, JMF, Yamaha. So 2009, that new Yamaha came out. Was it the Big Bang?
Yeah.
That bike was brand new. And JMF, I had roads kind of... 2008, I was doing my own thing over here, but also going home and riding for JMF at home. So I was more or less cleaning up at home, riding Mandela, mostly Mandela, on the JMF R1. So I was doing a wee bit of this and I was doing a wee bit at home. So JMF were more or less like, right, you were doing a lot of winning for us 2008. You've spent 2 years in Superstock in England. So for 2009, we're going to go and buy a brand new Big Bang R1 and we're going to go to England with you on the JMF Yamaha. So we done the first round and we won at Brands Indy on that new Yamaha. And then there was a...
Is that solely because of the new bike and the everything about it? In your opinion?
Well, Richard Cooper was on one, and I think, I'm not sure where he finished.
Was he on the coordinate bike then?
Yeah, yellow and black, wasn't it?
He's a question. Are you the same stature and height as...
I think Richard's
Cooper?
slightly taller.
Really?
Slightly. There's maybe about an inch on it.
So he's...
Manish.
I was wondering who can get on the teacups and who can't.
He probably looks more comfortable. He looks more comfortable getting onto it, whereas I you think I'm getting onto a horse the way I swing the leg over.
No, but it's like you know when you're talking about like the power to weight ratio, shall we say, in a riding, you think you're two lads in superbike class, it's stock class, winning races.
As we let's touch on it. So, two lads that are smaller in stature. Do you think it's helped you in some respects? Do you think it hinders you in some ways?
The whole getting off the corner.
Because you have an interest in riding, like even you were at the test and you were riding around with us at Silverstone.
Yeah.
And just riding with you, it reminded me of your style and how well you get off the corner. You probably get off a corner better than most people, I think. But that was in a damp session.
Yeah. That's traction too.
Do you reckon?
I had traction and I was kind of leaning on traction at Silverstone.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah.
So like out of turn one, I think, did I pass maybe you and Bridewell or something around the outside? But it was basically just...
See how we got that in there? See how we got that in there? You know when I rode around the outside? All right, massive.
And then seeing this, like, whoa, we're going all right.
Obviously, it's an interesting topic because there's talk about it at the moment in World Superbikes about weights and stuff like that, and should you cap it for that? But then everyone has different shapes and sizes, and
there's pros and cons.
There's definitely pros and cons, isn't there?
A light rider at Catrail or like say here gets a hell of a workout.
Yeah,
because it's physical direction change. Yeah. And then pros is how you come out of a corner, like acceleration. Northwest, it might be down to a lot of coming off chicanes, hairpins, just horsepower, lightweight, gone. Because it doesn't really equivalent to maximum speed at the end of the straight. It's probably just out of a corner. Mill Road roundabout.
Yeah,
as soon as I squirt out.
Yeah, it's physical weight on the bike.
Weight, or you think that also helps how you sat on it? You do think
I don't move on it like a...
Well, that's the other thing. You've got a different riding style, as in, and that is. Did you put that down to you, like your shape, or did you put that down to that style that you sort of developed?
Yeah, just kind of.
Because you don't really put your knee down either, do you?
Yeah, I
do scrape it, but then I'm carrying a massive lean angle when I do. So like, you know, if the side of the fairn's there, my knee, like, I'm not sticking out. Like, you see some people, like, 90 degrees and the knees out, and there's a new set of sliders every time or every session. I touch it down very rarely, but when I do touch it down, the bike's, like, like we're carrying 60 degrees of lean
Yeah.
angle around here, and it's like massive. And then they talk about, well, you can't squirt on 200 odd horsepower and 60 degree lean angle. It doesn't work. So then they're like, well, try and like weight a bit, get it up onto the fat part of the tire. But I've been so used to riding 600s on the side of the tire that you can whack on whatever 135, 140 horsepower on the side of the tire.
Yeah.
It's a different story on these big bikes with 200. You just can't.
But it is interesting. You see, like, I think you have a similar riding style, sort of maybe to Lee Johnston. Those sort of, he doesn't really hang off a great deal. It's funny how the riding style
Like
suits,
John, I would
suits
call
the
it
size of it.
economics.
Well, do you know what? I know we're going to get there finally soon because I loved it. But like when you and Ben Wilson were going at it, you could not have had two different riding styles if you tried. And it actually used to grate on me quite a lot because the when you watch the races back, because I was in those races, but not as far up as you guys because you were like you two were at the front. But then I'd watch the races back, and all the commentators were going on about how hard Ben Wilson was trying. I'm thinking, Alastair's definitely trying just as hard. It just doesn't look like it.
Yeah.
When you
It is
if you're
economical.
inside my helmet, you're trying.
You're biting the handlebars for that last little bit. It used to wind me up something rotten because you could see Ben Wilson had like a Chris Walker type sort of riding style, didn't he? It was all action and all.
Yeah.
I was about to say, explain that to listeners. I haven't seen a Chris Walker side. Is it more Spanish, more elbows, or was it more?
Yeah, it was just all over the place. The bike was always moving, wasn't it? Whereas you're a bit more static on the bike, and the bike always looked like it was on rails, but you're both trying like absolutely to the nth degree. It was,
And it went from the first lap to the last lap. We were like, the first lap was like the last lap. It was
between them two, yeah.
especially like Brands GP. We were passing each other about 3 or
It was
4 times
insane.
on the first lap, and that just continued. And bar banging and Silverstone, we connected, and Ben went down, and the one at Brands out of turn 1, I went a little deep, and as I went down in the dip, I could hear him accelerating, and I was kind of like, he could collect my handlebar here because we're going to collide, and I kind of stuck my elbow out as if to protect my bars, but it looked like I was trying to put the elbow into him. So it was made for good TV, and obviously got the whole Ben Wilson, Alastair Seeley thing going. And I remember people saying in the
Was there a thing?
What? Where?
obviously we were big rivals. We're dead on now. I speak to him in the back of the garages, and that was a massive year for me and him. And for me, it was end of the year, went down, and we won it by 1 point. But I can see Ben's side of it. He led the championship more or less all the way to. Well, it swapped on the last weekend too, because I took 50 points at Silverstone, and he had 2 DNFs, so that completely flipped it onto I was leading getting into Brands GP last round. So of course, what did I do in 3 race weekend? First race, clipped the curb at Graham Hill Bend. The turn 3 after Druids
the bottom
downhill,
left.
clipped the curb and crashed. So whatever point lead I had was just, it went back in his favour. So it went like that all weekend, and then it went down to, he was 4 points in front going into the last race, and then it was winner
So basically, winner takes all.
And I knew, sometimes when you know from the pace that you have during practice and qualifying, that we had qualified in pole by whatever 0.5 or something, you're thinking, well, if I can just keep clipping them 0.2s, 0.3s, and and it ended up, that's how the kind of race went. Got the lead, put the hammer down, and just seen the board go 0.5, 0.1, 1.5. Got it up to like 2.5, and then was like, right, just control the race and just keep it there.
Because I can remember being on the grid for that race, and you could feel the shit was going to go down. No, but like sometimes you go on the grid and it feels different to other times you're on a grid, and it wasn't because of me. I knew it was because of something else that was going on. It wasn't my sensation. It was the sensation of, you could feel all the fans' expectations.
Holding the breath, yeah.
I'm pretty sure that neither of you got interviewed because no one went to speak to you beforehand as
Possibly.
I don't think anyone.
From what I can remember, right, I think it was Richard Cooper and Paul. You were in second, and I was third.
Yeah, I think it was something like that.
And then Ben would have been back here in fourth. So it was like, the girl I was with at the time was actually said to me, she says she can see Ben's real anxious, because she was obviously looking over my shoulder at Ben, and Ben was banking at that time, was obviously, as we would say, the shite was boiling in him. Because we were obviously going for a title.
Yeah.
And we were both nervous. But it's how you kind of come across as controlled nerves.
So on the inside, you were.
I was kind of like.
Was the shite coming out of you? Whatever you said,
boiling your shite.
I think he showed it more. I was a bit more like sunglasses on, cool character. But I knew what I had to do, and I think I had the sort of upper hand as my consistency of lap times for the Brands GP was that little bit more consistent than Ben. So all I had to make sure and do was try and just keep clipping fast laps off. And Ben was kind of like, no, when you're hanging on.
Yeah.
And he was pushing, and then the rear was letting go, and he made mistakes, and it kind of that made that 1.2, 1.5. And obviously that was like he was on the edge, and I was just I kind of like to get to the front and try and bump, hit my apexes, do my thing. But sometimes in Supersport, you never got that chance to do your own thing.
So 2011 British Supersport champion.
Yeah. And then obviously we won stock in 2009, you remember?
Well, I was going to say that, so I jumped the gun a bit there, but going back.
So the JMF thing, I won the first round on the Big Bang, and then we had a bit of call it a fallout, an altercation with the team manager. So an email was exchanged, and that was me finished with that team. So I was kind of like, flip, I've just kind of been more or less sacked or whatever from JMF here. So phone Philip Neal and says, any chance of riding one of your Relentless Suzukis by TAS Racing? And he, with them big teams being Suzuki backed, it's not just Philip has to say yes,
It has to go down the avenue,
sponsors and people. So it ended up, we spoke, he says I'll get back to you, and it ended up, it was agreed, but it was on a like 1 round by 1 round basis. So we'll see how this goes, and then we'll see how it goes. And obviously if
you dominated.
And more or less I came here, I think this was round 2, qualified pole, won the race, and then I was like, right, we'll go to the next round. Don't know if I put pole, might have been Donington Park. I think I did get pole, won the race, and then obviously won 9 races and won championship. Won all 9 races.
And you know, going back to like the style question, how much did you change your style from the Supersport to the big bike in order to win that championship? Not a lot, or
No, I was going the other way.
I think
So you already come back from.
Oh, right, yeah.
You're
I
already
was
riding
riding
Supersport.
thousands, yeah.
Yeah.
I think the secret was I rode 1,000 in 2007 for NCT VanFit. I rode 1,000 for Ray Estates in 2008. So I'd done 2 years on 1,000. So you kind of get the gist of how to get the best out of 1,000cc. And then I went in 2009, and I said to JMF, look, this is my 3rd year in stock 1,000. I want to try and go for the title. And they believed that. And then whenever we split, I told Philip Neal, look, I've trained hard this year, harder than ever, and I feel like 3 years, this is my year. And he believed what I said, and he gave me an opportunity. And obviously I proved by doing what I done.
Yeah.
Won a race, brought him a title. So then got a Superbike deal for 2010, but then 2011 I didn't get a Superbike thing extended, even though I was top rookie and finished 6th in the showdown. I think that was the first year of the showdowns, 2010.
Yeah, it was.
So I made the showdown, me and Michael Laverty, but I never got kept on the Superbike deal, which would have been good to try and progress through Superbike.
And sorry, why was that you didn't get kept
I don't
on?
know, I just kind of think...
Because in your first year in Superbike, one to get in the showdown, which was top 6 back then,
Yeah.
was...
Yeah,
and you won a race? Brands Hatch.
Brands Hatch wet race, yeah. Won a race. I don't know, I think I never really questioned why I didn't get it. It was more or less I stayed with the same team, but I got a Supersport gig.
Yeah.
And probably Supersport would be more my size and stature, so I was pretty happy enough. But thinking back, it would have been nice to progress Superbike again. Because you look at sort of Peter, a lot of the Superbike guys have been in Superbike for a long time. Yeah. So you learn how to get the best out of a Superbike, or how to ride tires, or how to throttle input. I've been going from 600 to big bike to 600 to big bike. So when you ride a 600 for so long, you can be greedy on the side of the tire. And like, I'm kind of trying to tell myself on the BMW at the minute, the Cinetic BMW, to
corporate whole.
I still call it Tyco. It's so hard not to. It's so hard.
You're allowed to. You race for them.
It's so difficult.
That's when
it was. Yeah, it went Relentless Tyco. It just, I don't know. It's just when it was for the seller.
So I'm just trying to. They're telling me 60-degree lean angle, plenty of horsepower. You've got a bit of traction to try and help you out, but just try not to be so greedy with 60-degree lean angle. Try and sort of weight that little bit, and then fat part of the tire, and you'll get the best out of the drive and all. But it's trying to compute that in here.
It's like you know, even like talking about the style element. It's like, I think from an outsider looking in, your style very conservative, like you say, but also aggressive. And that's what led into like the Wilsons. It's like led into, there was a little incident with like Lee Johnson at the bottom of Metropole. There was like the William. Would you say your style is aggressive?
I don't know if it's the motocross thing, because obviously back in the motocross, it's no holds barred.
Is that your night out, your motocross? What is that? I'm getting mixed up here.
Motocross is, Christian, you done a bit of motocross, didn't you? Did you race?
Yeah.
He still does.
So
Love it.
So it's like turn one, it's elbows out, you know, and even in the race, people will push you over the berm or show you the ropes and all. It's just it's a bit more cutthroat motocross. So I don't know if I've done it through schoolboy days, and then I probably have a little bit of fire in me too for just who I am. But if it comes down to the last lap, you'd always say like certain riders you wouldn't want behind me, so I probably get seen as flip. You wouldn't want Seeley behind you. I'll have a go, but you want to win races, you got to have that little bit in you to try and push on.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Sometimes in the road racing thing, it doesn't go down too well because obviously when me and Lee clashed, there was a little bit of both of us to blame because Lee come across me and left me no alternative but to kind of release, and then we tangled. Yeah. But lucky enough, we got away with it.
Yeah, it was a big one. Have you seen it?
Yeah, have you? Whoa. I think I was watching it live at the time because
I hit the curb and he spun around backwards into the wall, but the wall was protected with big thick airbails, so we kind of got away with that one. And hopefully it never happens again.
Has it been like any, after, so one, we'll briefly touch on these moments and then we'll move on from them. But I
know where you're going.
I know you know where I'm going with this one, but have you ever had any aftermath in the paddock after these situations? And one particular was when you cross the line with Kennedy.
Yeah.
And you were both it was now as a fan of bike racing, it was outstanding. They were kicking each other.
Brilliant.
And it's mate.
Well, Jack kicked me. I didn't. He was behind me kicking me, and then I was kind of like, what was that? And then we kind of had this sort of standoff thing. Obviously, we're staring at each other, and the two of us just swung at each other at the same time. But then the cameras didn't show that I went up in the druids and basically aimed for his front wheel and stuff. The cameras panned away at that time. But everybody, I think, thought it would have then came to the podium enclosure. Yeah. And it would have all kicked off. But I think we had we just kind of let it fizzle out and went to the next races and tried to do our thing. But, for him doing the kicking thing, it wasn't really a good thing for young riders seeing that because, there was no punishment for what he done.
I was about to say, was there any aftermath of getting dragged up into the race office and stuff like that? Was there any of that? Or?
We did. We got summons up to the race office, but Jack at that time he was told Stuart more or less said, "You boys are going for this title. You are going to get argy bargy with each other, but you can't be getting on like that." So we draw a line in the sand here now, or underneath this incident. You shake hands and you move on. And Jack was adamant he didn't want to shake my hand. So there was a wee bit of disrespect at that time. And it's been there ever since.
Right.
So I felt also there should have been some sort of penalty for the actions that happened. He was the one that went in after the checkered flag and kicked me twice in the back into turn one. So he wasn't docked any positions for the next race. He wasn't given grid penalties. He wasn't given, I don't know if they fined him or whatever. It's more Dorn to do fines, don't they? BSB don't do it. So I was kind of a wee bit miffed as to there was no punishment for his actions. So I was kind of a bit disappointed in Higgs and BSB, more or less.
What would you have seen at that particular point as a fair punishment? Not just if that situation arose in any race in BSB, what would you both say would be a fair punishment?
Back of the grid.
I personally think stockade. I'm joking. No, but no, but you know what I mean. Though it's that kind of thing because yet again I'm talking about Chrissy, but Chrissy always the rules element. It's such a difficult situation because you need that entertainment, you need that room for flex, but obviously violence on track at any point is obviously it's frowned upon.
It's a difficult one because at the moment there's a lot more race control intervention, shall we say, than there ever was even a few years back. It's changed a lot, but there is also, you've got to be careful not to take, kicking is not racing, but you've got to also be careful not to take the racing element out of it.
That's Robin's racing, isn't it?
I think is finding that fine line. Obviously that was a very different situation. That was, I wonder if it was different because it was after the flag as well. I wonder if that has any bearing. Once the race is finished, I wonder if you can crack on.
You usually fist pump or shake hands, but you don't kick somebody
That's probably what he's trying to do.
It's just a new way of doing it.
I'm still trying to get this. I want to do a charity boxing match, and you two on my head title fight. 100%.
What was that MTV show? Was it Celebrity Deathmatch or whatever?
Or something like that. Big
Alastair
boxing.
Seeley and Jack Kennedy.
Although
People would pay. Imagine that for charity, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Imagine it. People would queue like a proper closed-in UFC style. You know, he's mates with McGregor, mind, so I think he'd be a right handful.
I think that's probably what happened. He thought he was Conor McGregor. He grew into this Conor McGregor. Like, you do nothing. You do nothing.
He's Italian, is he, Dave?
Not very good at that lingo down there. But
No,
no,
but
so Glenn Irwin talked about he thinks it would be a great idea to get this white collar thing going with the BSB crowd or road racing or whatever and match up. Like he thinks obviously me and Lee would probably be more for the stature.
Nah, you and Kennedy, 100%. Chuck you in.
Hold on, I've missed this idea. So we're all going to go boxing.
That's what Glenn thinks, that it would be good to get everybody.
I think it would be, honestly, I think Glenn is 100% on the money. I've said it for ages on this show that there should be a charity, all in the name of crack though. But imagine if,
Yeah, but it never is in the name of crack. You know, like
You
it
can't-
would get.
No,
I
you
have a
get-
list of people that want to line up against me. So there's a Jack and Lee and Ben Wilson and
Right. No, but
whoever else have rubbed up over the years. Do you have to go kissing?
what everyone in the
Alice
paddock.
will be like he'll be like the conker, wouldn't he? They have to keep going because everyone wants to fight that conker, you know.
Put him in the oven for a bit, harden him up.
Okay.
Don't give him vinegar.
It's like the charity football matches. They just tried to break me so that
Wait,
the football matches.
Gary Dunlop ran them, didn't he?
Yeah.
We need to get something like that. That
Whenever-
would 100% happen. But okay, who's the most dangerous man in the ring in the BSB paddock? No, screw that. Put everyone together. Rhodes.
Royal Rumble.
That
You
went
mean,
way over.
who's the hardest man?
Okay. Take Phil Crow. Who would he put against Phil Crow? Well, no one, right? Phil Crow's in a different fight class. But
I think Hickey would be a good goer. I think he'd.
who would you put Hickey against? I think you'd be quite a hard fight because you could just box round everyone. I think everyone would die of exhaustion before they got
I'd cry.
Once you get a punch in the nose, it's all right sparring and hitting punch bags. But once somebody heads back at you, it's a different
That's
story.
true. Like my mate, I started training with a lad who did a bit of sparring. And he was like, "Right, come on, we'll do a bit of sparring." I was like, "Yeah, cool." And then he punched me, and I was like, "Whoa!"
Had you headgear on
What
or
are
no
you doing?
headgear?
Yeah, we had headgear on it,
Yeah.
and he even was like, "Well, I'm not even hitting you." I was like, "Well, fucking felt like you were hitting me."
Do not hit me. Whatever you
Well,
do.
I'd been practicing on the bag, and it's great because that doesn't punch you back.
Yeah.
Like literally, the second someone punches you back
Yeah.
in the face,
It's a
you
totally
you
different
lose.
story.
I was just flailing with my eyes closed because I didn't dare like open them.
Windmill.
I was. It was just pure flail.
We went to boxing
about to
clubs
say
for
you-
training and stuff. But again, it was all the boxing training, which is very beneficial because the core stuff that they do is just unreal.
And the speed work of it, and the
But the actual, like when the BBC I think came out to do an interview with me, and they put me in with some heavyweight guy a guy called Stevie Ward, and when he hits a bag, like you can hear the slaps of it, and you think it was only for TV, like for a BBC feature. So the guy Stevie Ward's in the ring, and they more or less told me like, go at him. So I'm like trying to mill him and get stuck into him, and he's just covering up, and I'm like basically whacking his ribs and trying to punch him in the stomach, trying to get him in the head, and then I'm going at it. So I'm blowing for going so hard at it, and then he just turns around and goes whack and hits me in the chest, and I flying back into the ring, and I'm like, he only tapped me too. So you're thinking like if he connected, he would just take the head off you. So you have respect for them boys because it's like it's all right until you get hit,
Yeah.
and it's the same with sparring. Everything's going hunky dory until you get smacked in the nose and the blood's pissing out of you, and you're like, maybe this isn't for me.
I love it. So your first British title, sorry, your second we got up to. So you won stock,
Yeah,
and then you won Super Sport after that.
yeah.
after a year in Superbike.
After a year in Superbike.
But then you went back to Superbike after winning Super Sport.
Yeah, went 2012, got Taiko Suzuki gig. Me and Brooksy were teammates, but for whatever reason, I just didn't have a good year. I don't think it gelled with the bike. It was just one of those years to forget.
Was that when, I tell you what, that one, every time I put Croft on, because it's like a North East Club meeting, right?
Yeah.
That'd be the year before when it was
Was it
Brogy.
year? Oh
I think
my
you're thinking
God.
of the Brogy one.
Brogy, but I'm sorry, I
then
watched that on repeat.
McGuinness
'cause
won.
and then
Scott Smart's bike shit itself across the line.
oil
It was like-
everywhere, and McGuinness is doing a
Unreal.
wheelie, and it was
The
just like,
best last lap ever. wasn't
Ever.
it?
100%. Brogy just went, fuck you. And
Let the
you
brakes up.
could hear
That
the
was,
scouse like, fuck you, bang.
That was 2009 when I won the stock championship. So obviously I had won it at Cadwell. So we went to round 10, which was Croft.
Aye.
Bruggy had had enough of it at
That's
stage.
mid.
And we were jockeying and battling, and Bruggy was actually leading. Do you know that sunny in, sunny out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then you go up there and you go into a left and then into a right, and then it's got like two parts of that right that squirts to the
Yeah.
Well, I actually went underneath them on the two squirts to the hairpin, and he's like, fuck this, I've had enough of you, you little fucker. And he just let the brakes off, and I was about to turn in, and
It was great.
Amazing. Because he was fully on the endo doing it, wasn't he? You know, like it was just...
yeah.
You know
He's
what?
like, you're not getting it. Not another one.
Even if I don't, you're not getting it. It was one of them.
You know what I'm enjoying is the fact that you're lighting up when you talk. Like normally we speak normal. No, you are though. You know, like normally a lot of riders going, oh fuck, I remember that day it was shit. Or stuff like that. But you dish it out, but you can obviously.
Take it too, yeah.
So
you have to.
Have you been upset with any dirty moves on you?
Apart from being kicked.
Gary Mason took me out at Croft into that last corner, into that hairpin.
Okay, worse than that Brogy moment.
Yeah,
was
Bruggy
that-
only brushed me, whereas Mason cleaned me.
Okay, if anyone clicks on 2009 Croft, there's a huge difference. Like I would class
That's
that
a
as
brush, apparently.
Okay, in Seeley's opinion, that's a brush. So you getting taken out is a big claim.
Yeah, because we both stayed on the bike. To me, that's rubbing. Whereas I got clean, basically. I think I was already set up for the hairpin, and boom, Gary Mason just fucking root plowed into the side of me.
Jesus,
He stayed on, and I was picking myself up off the dust. So to me, that was a dirty move. That's the only one I can really remember.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I've done more dishing out than I've actually received, so I'm all right about the whole thing.
Hey, good on you. But like, so,
I always believe, like, if you give it, you have to be able to take it, and vice versa.
aye,
You know what I mean?
sport, isn't it?
You need to man up a bit.
Yeah. Yeah, if you're going to dish it out, fucking hell, you got to be able to have it back, haven't you?
Yeah, for sure.
But 12 was, by your own admission, maybe not quite as good as you'd hoped.
No, so that year, obviously, I was riding for Taiko Suzuki, which good established team, and whatever happened, it didn't work out. I think it could have been coming from a full year of riding a supersport bike, trying to jump back into superbike thing.
Yeah.
With, at that time, there was no traction assistance or no electronics. It would have been just...
And was this because you'd ridden, the end of the year before, at the end of the Superstock year, you got to ride the Evo bike?
I was the first rider to ride an Evo bike.
Yeah.
So they put a stock engine into a superbike chassis.
Yeah. So you were basically the test pilot for the rules we have now
Yeah.
in BSB.
Yeah, it's mad how you look back at, like, even the GP2 thing.
Yeah.
I was a bit of a crash test dummy for that too.
Yes.
Was that the Spirit bike?
Yeah,
No.
yeah.
You won
Yeah.
that championship though, didn't you?
No, I was winning races, but I kind of wasn't supposed to be there. So you talk about atmosphere in a or a podium enclosure, Parc Fermé. It wasn't great because it was like, what's this little...
Yeah, like a race within a race, wasn't it?
I was kind of mixing with the leaders of the Supersport race in 2017 on the GP2 bike when it shouldn't have really been up there. So I was like, I was winning races, and then I was coming into the podium enclosure and like parking my bike in number one slot, and no, come you back out of there, you're not supposed to be in there. And then the Supersport guys coming in, and it's kind of like you could hear like, what's he doing in this, and he shouldn't be in here, and he's wrecking our races and all this. But it's kind of like water off a duck's back.
I was about to say, how did, like, a lot of people would take that kind of, like, those situations to heart and say, well, I'm not doing it, I'm here to race. But, like, what advice would you... No, that is going to be the question, you know what I mean? Do you actually thrive off that? Any negativity that comes your way, do you actually just keep it coming, son?
I was just enjoying racing because to be at the front of Supersport races on something that really shouldn't have been there was quite good, because I was getting the best out of a package that it chattered a lot, so we had to deal with chatter. And then at the very beginning it was a Triumph engine, so I'm not too sure when you rode the Triumphs, was there an issue with like a cough in the first part of the throttle that the Triumphs coughed?
No, ours was pretty good, but it might have been due just to put it in different chassis. They don't always like the same thing, do they?
Or ECU or something wasn't matched up.
Yeah.
So this thing had a cough coming off the corner, plus it chattered in a few corners, so it wasn't like the ideal bike to be on. But we were mixing with Supersport and winning races, and I think some of them I won comfortably too. I think Snetterton might have won, Thruxton I won comfortably.
But post 13, so how many wins are you up to now in the Northwest? We talk about them as if it's like a given, like
Aye.
which it shouldn't be.
No, they started to come along. So like got my first one in 08 and then won another stock race in 09. Then 2010 was a big year because I went to the Northwest and I won the last main superbike race, and I might have won a 600 race that day as well. But the main superbike race, you know, the blue ribbon race, the one everybody wants to win. So it'd been 13 years since a local guy had won the Northwest 200 superbike race, Philip McCallum, and I went out on the Relentless Suzuki and won the race
against
Stuart Easton.
Right.
Passed him at
And what was he on at the time?
Swan Honda.
Right.
Very fast on a straight line, and then
There's another road race that never did the TT. You know what I mean?
yeah, but he done Mackay back, and he loved Mackay.
He's still the lap
Yeah,
record
right
holder.
around
He's
there.
just
Yeah, and again, when we move on to 13 and 14, me and Stuart went for the championship in 13.
Mhm.
13. So I was riding Gearling. So that was another thing. So me and Ben Wilson had such a ding dong championship in 2011 that for 2013, me and him were teammates on the Gearlink
Was that-
Kawasaki's.
was it the Rossi board in the middle, or was it like
How was it for dinner at hospitality every night?
I had my crew.
Elbows, my macaroni cheese.
just knocking plates out each other's hands? Get out of your way.
At that time, obviously, because we were such big rivals, the racing thing was he done his thing and I done mine.
Yeah.
And I had my crew and he has his crew. So we didn't talk about setups. We didn't discuss gear.
I love this teammate stuff means nothing in these situations.
It's the wrong word, isn't it?
It is. It's
Team.
like
It should be team summit, but not
yeah,
mate.
it's like work colleagues.
we share the same bikes and we share the same garage.
That's essentially it. The winner.
But
Team
it was-
other person.
Wait.
we wanted to beat each other so much because then we were given same bikes,
Yeah.
same machinery. So it was down to the rider.
You know when you got signed for Gearling at this point,
Yeah,
did you know he was going to be a teammate?
yeah.
What? Is it because is it solely because you've got two of the best super sport riders that you just think, well, one of them's got a chance? Or did the team own it? What was her name? What was it?
Norma.
Norma. Was it Norma's like decision to you know what, I just want to see the shit getting stirred in here. You know what I mean? Like to employ ex-rivals on that side of things.
No, they wanted to obviously go for the championship.
Yeah.
And they put a lot into that year because we had Akira engines from France. And at that time, I think Keenan Sofoglu was using Akira builders.
Yeah.
And he was away with it for years, wasn't he?
So it ended up like we had motors to do practice Friday, and then we changed to the Akiras on Saturday qualifying and for the races. So the engines were coming out and being
Could you tell the difference with the Akira engine?
rotated.
You could.
Yeah.
On a scale of 1 to 10. I know it's a shitty version of doing it, but it was like, this is night and day different. Or
It was just, it made life a wee bit easier. And you could hear them coming. The guy said you can hear the difference like at Thruxton down the back straight. Like the Akira engine, you can hear the other engine.
money!
And it was like,
Fast as fuck!
and obviously it was a good strong year because me and Stuart went to last round,
He was on the
race.
Martrain bike, was he?
last round.
So you'd been in this situation before.
Last round went down to, and again,
Were you feeling confident? Because obviously you said on the last one you
Yeah.
felt like you had it. So in this one, was it similar or was it?
no, Stuart was a bit more like, you know, Stuart's pedigree.
Yeah.
He had been and done it in Superbike.
Mm-hmm.
So like he was winning races around here for fun, I think, on like him and Tommy Hill around here.
Yeah.
Way back in the day, the two of them had kind of checked out, and Stuart was just like, what do you call that word? Begins with M, like
Methodical.
no, there's another word. Is it metronomic? Is it
What you mean being just
boom, lap
bang,
time,
yeah.
lap time,
Yeah, yeah,
metronomic, just bump, bump, bump. And Tommy Hill was trying everything, and Stuart was just pinpoint accurate on that Honda. I think it was a Swan Honda, and he was good. But obviously with his experience, like I remember he rode Monster Mob 749 Ducati, and at that time I was watching Supersport at home doing Irish Championship
BO1 was it, that one?
way back.
Yeah.
And Stuart had been here a long time in BSB, so to race against him, he was obviously going to be a harder cookie to crumble. And it went to the last round, but it ended up, I think I might have been robbed. I think somebody crashed at turn 1 Paddock Hill. Red flags came out and they took it back a lap. The only lap that Stuart led was the lap that...
And was that enough in the points? So was it also close on points?
Yeah. So I think Richard Cooper was in the mix too.
Okay.
So there was me, Coops and Stuart, and the rain had came on. And I think that's why the person crashed at Paddock Hill, because it started to get greasy. And because they went down, it was quite a big one. So it was red flagged, and then it got took back a lap, and Stuart was leading that. I think it was the only lap he led. It got took back to his lap. So he got the championship. And I was kind of... Do you know what? I took it not too bad. I think because I had 2 British titles, I was like, wasn't being greedy.
I don't need 3.
It would have been nice to get it, but I didn't beat myself up because of the whole way it happened.
Yeah, I suppose mentally, was it easier to take or harder to take in terms of it wasn't you that lost it as a big, because the race never went to its last lap or to the finish. Like if you'd lost to Stuart in a straight race, do you think that would have been harder or easier, or do you feel more robbed because it didn't get to take to the end?
I think the more I think about it now, like, because it got taken back a lap, it annoys me a bit more now, but at the time I was kind of like, I just passed it.
It's what
off.
it is.
Yeah. But then, do you know what happened as well? I had been signed by Martrain 3 rounds prior to the end of the season, so I had a job security for 14. So Stuart was moving on, and I was jumping onto his bike. So it was pretty much like, I've lost the championship, but I'm going to the championship when I'm back.
Yeah.
So 14 again. It went to the last round with me and Billy McConnell.
You love the last round.
Don't I? Well, sure, that's the way Stuart Higgs wants everything to go to the last round to get the crowds in the game.
Wait.
Are you just thinking of the crowd?
I'll roll this one.
I was thinking of Stuart all the time, but Stuart doesn't think of me all the time. But that's the way it was. Billy McConnell, Billy was on the Smiths Triumph, and Garland was his teammate, I'm near sure. Good strong year on the Martrain bike. We won quite a bit, and Billy, I won he only had to finish the last race in such a position, and he done that. He finished within, he only had to finish above 11th or something.
So it's a bit different to the other ones where...
The other one was last race, winner takes all. Whereas this one, I won the last race to kind of prove I was still fast and I could still ride the Martrain bike, but I'd lost a few points during the year, and kind of Billy got it by finishing enough points to get the championship.
Yeah.
So then that was 14, and then so for 15 I went to the Tyco BMW and stock class, and again went to Silverstone, the penultimate round, and it was me and Josh Elliott. Josh Elliott was on the Morello Kawasaki ZX10, and I was on the Tyco BMW, and we were nip and tuck all year. I think I led it for a bit, he led it for a bit, and it ended up, it went to Silverstone. And if I had a won Silverstone, which we were for in line doing, it would have went to a last round showdown at Brands GP. But of course, you'll know his name, Hudson Canna, destroyed that whole challenge on the last lap down into the last left.
Right.
Down into whatever, Brooklands, is it?
Yeah, I think it is.
Down in there.
Yeah.
So he came dive bombing and pushed me wide, and Josh nipped through him on the race, won the championship. So he fucked my championship. Thanks very much.
Is he another one for Celebrity Deathmatch?
He's
in the ring.
He is going in the ring. He's number 1. Canada cunt. He got his nickname, Canada cunt.
Hey, that's sorted, absolutely.
So we had words in the pit lane after that.
Oh, so
which words did you choose?
They weren't pretty. It was pretty much. I had heard that he was on a BMW that year too.
Yeah.
And we were obviously like sort of the official BMW thing, and he wasn't getting any help, so he took it upon himself to kind of ruin our championship. So he got the nickname.
But every year since basically, what is it, 07, 06, you've fought for a championship in every championship you've raced in.
If you think about it, I could be sitting here as 5-time British champion if the cards had fell right for 13, 14, 15.
Yeah.
So it was runner up.
And impressively, on different bikes in different classes, as in CCs.
Yeah. So then,
some going.
So then, what was that? Where did we finish there on 15? 16, I went to RAF on the Superbike.
Yeah.
And again, it's coming off. Well, I was on a Tyco BMW Stalker. So when I went to RAF BMW, and some good, some bad. Probably more bad, some good. And then between that, we've been rattling out Northwest. So we probably finished there on the last Northwest would have been 2010. So
when did the DVD come out? Because we were talking before. When is the sequel coming out?
20. When did I?
You said, I think, was it 19 wins? That you
17 wins. I
He's on
brought
the
the DVD out. So now we're like 10 more, but I'm not bringing no DVDs out till I'm finished because there was too many secrets when out on the DVD. It was more or less talking about how every win happened, and obviously you're explaining how you went about it or how.
I better watch
because obviously, like, I've never done it. I love to watch it, but the Northwest is very tactical racing, shall we say? So do you think you've got something, you've still got some secrets that you
have?
until you sold them for 10 quid a DVD.
Yeah, they went down to a fiver at one stage. They weren't selling too well. So just kind of said too much on it. Probably should have waited till it was completely finished. Like bringing out a book, wait till you're finished and then bring out a book. I'll probably do a book when I'm finished.
Yeah,
and talk about all this. I'll have to watch this back to get some memories again.
I tell you, like, now you're talking about like the Northwest at that point, and between you just said the words like between that I was banging out Northwest wins. How crucial is winning Northwest and being a part of the Northwest to keep
BSB alive?
To keep BSB alive.
It obviously helps because so like RAF and stuff, they're kind of looking at you, right, we'll take you on board to ride the superbike. You can possibly get us good results, but we know if we go to the Northwest with you, we're nearly guaranteed to be podiuming or winning because of your pedigree and your history and your results over the past few years, and that's obviously helped get me some rides. So I would think that if I didn't have the Northwest or wasn't very good at the Northwest, I wouldn't be probably where I am now.
Oh no!
Full stop.
No. But that's the thing. You've got to use like your strengths. It's like from like obviously I'm not a paid racer or anything like that. But like I'm here because the TT. I'm very lucky that Belgrave are providing a bike for the F900s for me because they're a fan of the TT and it keeps me in shorts. You know, you've got to use what you've got, haven't you?
Yeah.
It's literally that simple.
No, that was pretty much it. That obviously, Relentless, Suzuki, Tyco, BMW. Changed name now to Cinetic BMW, and obviously at the Northwest we switched to Milwaukee BMW as a title sponsor, so they know the pedigree I have. And obviously last year getting a hat trick shows 43 years age, that man can still ride a motorbike. He's still hungry, determined, and he wants it. So that helped get me to where I am now, showing that I still have wins in me.
I guess taking it back from what you were saying before, I guess since the RAF days, the RF year, you've had a few years of not getting maybe the rides you wanted in the places you've wanted in the short circuits.
Yeah.
You've done your stint back in Irish Superbikes, you won that again.
Yeah, 2 years. It was 21, 22.
COVID, the COVID years, yeah.
But you've obviously carried on, like, knocking on the doors. You obviously stayed hungry, obviously stayed doing what you're doing. The switch now, has this been a new kick up the arse? Did you not need a kick up the arse? Is it, like, how does this mentally work with you? Because you're back with, basically, you've had so much success with the TAS team.
It's like family, walking back in the family, but as a racing side of it, it's like, right, well, you're getting given an opportunity again. Because I thought that ship had sailed for me to go back to BSB, because
that's sort of what I meant. You've actually had 3 or 4 years away from the UK, is it? 2. Oh, is it 2? Only 2, right? Yeah. But I guess it maybe felt longer for me, but I guess it felt
after one. I thought, well, I dominated at home.
Yeah,
you're taking all that BSB experience back home.
Yeah,
and it's up to the ones at home to step up. You have a target on your back, but you're always like one step ahead because of what BSB learns you and your experience. I've been riding motorbikes now for short circuit for 23 years. So when I went home, it was basically check out, watch your pit board, win the races.
Yeah.
Undefeated in Superbike, and I think it was only beat twice or something in 600. And last year, Richard Kerr came home. We beat him in the summertime, but he beat me in the Sunflower.
How impressive is that for you, though?
Watching McGlinchey as well, young kid from back home. Good Supersport 600 rider.
Is he back in British yet?
Yeah.
Yeah, he is, yeah.
He was at Silverstone. I think he's riding an R6 for some team, but I don't really know much about it. But fast kid, come home, we'd win some, he'd win some, but shows that with the BSB ones come over, you can still work with them. But riding 1 year at home and dominating, I kind of thought, right, well, I've kind of proved that I'm too good for home. Maybe I'll get snapped up to go back to BSB. It never happened, so we stuck with IFS Yamaha for another year, and that last year was the year that we done the Northwest came back. So we're like, right, we'll do another year of Ulster Superbike Championship and Supersport Championship, but also do the Northwest on like a privateer Yamaha gig and see how we get on. So I kind of took my wealth of experience and kind of put it into the Northwest, like, this is what we'll do, this is, how the Yamahas will be, and we went and we got 3 race wins.
The only team with brolly dollies as well, I noticed that.
Was there? I was too focused.
No, but like you say, like, considering the R1, stock R1 is not competitive, as far as top speed, and people wouldn't choose it. But the wet weather played in, and you just cleared off in that Northwest race. It was really impressive. It was greasier than a spoon out there, mind.
I think what was more impressive was people maybe would have said, because Thursday night cold, wet weather specialist. Come Saturday, if it's dry, he'll be nowhere. So we won a super stock race in the dry. So it was like,
way to do it. But but it's like Christian was saying, it's definitely a game. It's 100% a game of momentum. And he said after that year of being back at home, you thought, here we go, someone's going to snap us up. And when that didn't happen, was it?
I was kind of like
shit. Here we go.
BSB, my dream of going back to BSB is probably over now. So I have to settle with riding at home, and just that team IFS was good because the Yamahas were good.
Yeah,
they were brand new bikes. The R6 was raffled tuned motors, so you can't ask for any more. So we went and bought a dog, because you're allowed to take.
We went and bought a dog.
You're allowed to take dogs to.
We're not going back
Ulster
to BSB.
Superbike. You're not going back to BSB.
What dog did he get?
We got a boxer dog.
Buy a boxer, dear. We've had enough.
He's a copy of Scooby Doo. He's good crack. But we thought, go to Ulster Superbike. You can take the dog to the paddock. We'll get a dog. And then I got the phone call at Christmas. Do you fancy stock? And we're like, geez, you're going to have to get kennels for the dog now. So the dog's in kennels.
There's just been a Philip Neal gun where the wage is going to have to be quite a bit, kennel fees.
I need another 50 quid a weekend.
On the invoice, the dog kennel costs.
No, but at this point, so now we're going into the present. We're here, we're now. How are you feeling? Is this like you've got to make it work, or
I was like more so Spanish testing and BSB testing. I was really apprehensive and nervous, because being away for 2 years, you think, how much has the game moved on? How much has the level moved on?
In 2 years.
In 2 years. Yeah. And I'm like, I get the Silverstone test, and obviously with being damp and all, things was quite good. And then come to the first round, I was kind of like a little bit off the boil. But then in the races, I kind of got going. It nearly took for me to have the races to kind of understand the pace and what it's all about again. We didn't have a good qualifying because of quick shifter. When we put the new tyre in to go, my first flying lap, the quick shifter failed. So when it's not working on the blipper and the quick shift, it's
a lot on one of
game
those.
Over.
Yeah.
So I pulled in and ended up like 19th, qualified 19th. So it was like, flip, what am I, 7th row or something? So it's a long way back. Just try and salvage and pick them off, and went to 10th in the race, 19th to 10th, and then was 12th in the grid for the second race and went to 6th. So 6th was happy with 6th, like, because we're always making progress. It just shows that qualifying is so important, and I think I need to just flick the switch back to qualifying. You need to get a really good qualifying over here, and it's part of the it's a lot of the game, really. I'm not getting a good qualifying over here, and you nearly need to leave a brain in the toolbox at times.
So I guess the goal, even though you've been away from BSB for 2 years, the goal is no different to what it always has been.
Try and get up, because I've been with the front runners before. I've battled with Billy for years, went for championships with him, Oulton, but then there's on Linfit as well. I've raced superbikes for years, but there's the new breed too. There's the Talbot, there's the Bourne, and these kids I've never seen or rode with before. So it's kind of like, these are the new elbow draggers.
Yeah,
I'm the old school static, like sat in it. So I feel like it's too late for me to nearly change to the elbow drag thing. I'm just going to have to try and do the best with what I can't blame the machinery. The bike is very good. It's very fast as well. So I just have to try and just keep chipping away at it. And I think we're at the start of the season. We're in second round Oulton. I just go out and try and do the best qualifying, and we've only one race this weekend, so everything has to go into that one race. But at the same time, in the back of my mind, I've got the Northwest next week.
Yeah.
And I've a full stable of machinery to ride there, and I've 2 days of testing next week after this weekend as well. So I've kind of it's busy.
I've just seen one of his machines.
I was about to say, this brings us back up to the perfect little thing. So I don't know what you two are now. Back to teammate. Explain the situation. So it's a bit like you said. You've already seen the bike.
I've just been in at dinner, and I was like, Wilf, who's my boss, what's going on with Alistair's Ducati? Like, I don't understand. So you're riding a Ducati in Supersport?
Yeah. So this came about because Hutchie was due to ride it.
Yeah.
Right.
Hutchie obviously had the stroke and had the license
of course,
revoked for the year. So the bike was sitting there being prepared for him to do Northwest TT.
He was going to do the TT on it as well?
Yeah. As far as I'm aware.
That would have been amazing.
Yeah, that was the plan.
Oh.
I know.
So it's quite a sexy little thing.
Right. It's absolutely amazing.
I know you're scared of going in our garage, but you have to see this thing.
No, I walked when I walked in.
It is like the colour scheme. It is popping.
Yeah.
Like I know how
just
beautiful the bike is anyway.
Italian porn,
because it's the same as Ben Curry's bike, so I know how beautiful it is. But
some of the comments are
popping,
like, I can't wait to hear this thing going up the coast road of Port Rush, Port Stewart, and obviously the bike has pedigree at the minute. It's more or less dominating in World Supersport. It won Daytona 200. So it seems on paper a very good bike, but you don't really know because I haven't threw my leg over it yet.
But that's what you're testing next week at Bishop's Court.
2 day test on it next week.
No, but like knowing what you from the R6 element, you've come from the R6s, you've seen what Lee's doing on it at the moment. Silverson's really, really dominant.
Yeah.
How confident are you feeling with the Ducati for knowing what you know for the Northwest? And that this is without riding it though, you know what I mean?
I don't want to say too much because I don't want to say it'll be a walk in the park because we don't know that.
But he kind of has said it, kids.
He kind of said that.
It'd be nice if I could get onto it and disappear up the road and win the race by thing. But
that was one of our questions from our patrons, Jess Mortimer. Are you pissing off the race? No, so he's asking about the Ducati swap, yeah.
I'm just going on what you can really see it's doing in world level at the minute. It's doing a good job, but yet Bullock is a very good rider. But the bike has obviously been built to win races, and I'll know better when I test it next week. But I am very excited to get on this bike to see its potential.
If it goes as good as it looks,
yeah,
Mate,
he will piss off. He'd probably lap him. To be fair,
don't say that, Kristen. I may not be invited back.
Without a doubt, hands down, easy. It is the best look. I tell you what would be good if you put it into your Oxford limited edition white and blue.
No, we're not ever talking about that limited edition anything ever again.
I know you won't, but he can.
Happen.
He can.
Didn't happen.
A bit of a bad luck thing, was it?
It didn't work.
Mate, you missed the Bakewell Tart episode here. You're miles behind on that. No, but but it's. Oh God! All I'm picturing is that bike. Is absolutely stunning. It is absolutely stunning.
It's a collaboration between TAS Racing and Motor Rapido have built the bike on behalf of TAS Racing. Is the gist of it that I'm getting with another sponsor involved?
So Power Toolmate is the main sponsor, but there's also Milwaukee. Has a big effort on it. Mm-hmm. So the Superbike for the Northwest will be Milwaukee, with obviously all the other branding of the team sponsors. But Milwaukee's the main Superbike. Cinetic will be the main Superstock effort, and then the Power Toolmate will be the V2 Ducati effort.
So the question from my side is why the Ducati? Is it one because as you're riding BMWs in the other one, you can't have a bike brand that also has 1,000?
Ooh.
Because you can't race the Ducati in the Northwest, that's true, is it not? Oh, you can you now? Yeah, I was thinking
no, because he's been round on the Ducati for Paul Bird. Yeah.
So with the
so you had the choice,
the
didn't
big BMWs. I could pretty much go and choose
any 600.
And
but you've got form on so many 600s. So why choose one you've never ridden, or why did the team choose one you've never ridden?
Because I couldn't turn down the opportunity to ride this. It's
brilliant.
I suppose it would be a chance to win another manufacturer at the Northwest.
Yeah,
because I've done it on Kawasaki, Suzuki, BMW. Never won on a Honda. Never really rode a Honda.
Did Philip just ring you up and go, we've got you a super sport bike? Was it literally that simple?
More or less, yeah.
Hey, I tell you what, I must ask you, being the representative of like Cinetic, Why aren't they at the TT this year? That's 23 years, right? Of not 23 years of consistent going, bar COVID. Why aren't they going?
Because Hutchie's not available.
That's simple.
Yeah.
That's simple. Cut, dry, delivered. It's literally that simple. There you are. Well, no, that's what it was obviously said in the press release. I thought I was going to pry something out of them there a little bit
Something
more.
special.
Something a bit on the special side of it. But
Are you kind of asking like why haven't they got a replacement rider?
yeah.
Maybe none available. Because of this time of year, pretty much everybody's sorted.
It is very late. It is very late in the day, isn't it? You know, like obviously nobody foresaw.
Oh, no, God, yeah, no. Because Hutchie's up and about, which is the main thing, isn't
Yeah,
it?
saw him at the test. Saw him at the test.
That is the main thing. I tell you what,
You got some Patreons.
I'm actually raking through them as we speak now. Obviously, throughout the episode, you end up speaking most of them. So, like,
we should do Patreons first, shouldn't we? Because we totally take their own questions.
But then,
In fact, I think that's what you do. I think you read the Patreon questions and then you ask the questions.
it's a good thing Grace is editing this because she's going to take this totally. You've totally wrote, you know, his book about how to go fast around the northwest. You know what I mean? You're just the bubble popper of dreams.
You go through the Patreons,
you know what I mean?
don't you? You go, oh, that's a good one.
That is a good one. That is an outside. I will use this information.
And then you say, oh, sorry, Ali. Sorry, Ali.
Well, I actually do. So, Ali, we've answered that. Would you like to insult anyone?
Everything's been covered. We've covered everything.
I was about to say, last time we were on the episode, we lost a patron because of this fucker. So
Yeah.
would you like...
I'm sorry to...
Go on, what's his
I'm
name?
sorry for Chuckle Brothering to me to you.
I love it. Absolutely love it. But no, obviously, William Boyd, Peter, Erin, Ali, Mike, Alec, you know, we've gone through all these questions, which is awesome. You know, without patrons, we'd be stuffed on this show.
The book might not come out for a long time because I'm running about with Jeremy McWilliams at the minute. We're training, we're playing golf. 59 years of age.
So you could go on forever, is what you're saying?
No, which, you know what? Why not? Why the hell not? You know,
well, I have set myself a wee target for the Northwest, and if we reach it, that's it.
I know what that is.
Is that something you're going to say?
No, can I? He wants to win his race number.
Spell it out.
Nice.
Yeah,
34. So
yeah.
you 7 away? Is it 7?
Seven more. 7 more, I think that would be a nice figure.
Well, the Ducati's
So you've got, yeah, piss that one.
Piss that one.
Might as well just chalk it up now. So you've got 6 more to
2
win.
races for that.
So you've got 5 more races to win.
5 more. I tell you
So
what,
how many have you got in the week? 6.
You could do.
So you need 2 years.
You could do two stock,
2 years is
superbike,
retiring.
2 superbike, 2 super stock, and 2 super sport.
I tell you what, who's going to stop
Has
me
anyone
this
got
year?
a twin? Who's got a twin? Come on.
Do you know what? I've been asked to ride the twins, but I feel like I've done it for so long, the super sport, super stock, superbike thing, that I never want to change it. I just kind of.
You know your system.
What is it? Creature of habit.
Yeah.
I like to just keep doing what I'm doing and not really want to venture into the super twin thing.
Yeah.
What did you ask me there before I put it on?
Oh, it's totally gone. It's totally gone.
No, that's. I'm happy just to keep doing that.
So who's your biggest rivals? That's who I was
That's
asking.
what it was.
Glenn.
There's a lot.
There is a lot.
There is a lot.
Is that one of the Patreon questions?
No, I made this up, mate.
No, I'm sure I've read that from the Patreons.
Well, go for your list. Go for your list.
You answer it, and I'm going to say who asked it.
You know, like when we look at the entry, it's Hickman, Brooks, Dean Harrison.
Because
Dean
Hickman
Johnson.
is the lap record holder.
Yeah.
On that delaminating tyre. That's so because you've been a Metzler man for years, haven't you?
I haven't been anything but Metzler,
Right.
so I'm kind of a Metzler man.
You are the Metzler man through and through. There you go. He's literally trying to grasp me up on these questions here.
What was it?
I don't know who's your biggest. I'm literally looking at the man talking about the Northwest.
okay.
How can you not ask about the rivals here?
It's similar. So Ali did ask.
It's
It's
similar.
very similar. Who has
Well,
been your
apologies.
favourite and who has been the worst rider to race against?
Stop trying to get the favours back of the patrons, right? That this is the.
Who's been the favourite and who's been the...
That's from Ali Hodges asked who's been, your
Your biggest rival. Who's been?
maybe not rival, but just the best and worst person to race against.
Yeah, that's Ali's question. Go for it.
Probably that year with Ben Wilson is obviously stands out. You know,
But was he good to race with?
yeah, because it was all pretty fair. You know, there was never really the only time whenever I put my elbow out
Yeah.
to protect my brake from getting wiped out or whatever, the bars taken out of my hand. People thought that was us starting to get aggro, but there was never any really contact. It was just good, clean, fair racing, and we went at it. And we just passed everywhere we could, inside, outside, you name it. But it was good to race with him, and obviously I can remember at the end of that year that one of the mechanics told me that. So obviously the super sport race would have been out racing, and then the superbikes were the next race. So mechanics were preparing superbikes for the next race, but when our race was on, they were dropping tools and just watching us on TV. They were like, "This is brilliant." Forget about fixing them bikes. We're watching this. We're watching these two boys cut shade out of each other.
Way to do it, man. It's a way to do it. I'll tell you what, we've actually got an audio from Phil Dyke, that's the one. Thank you very much. Me North East education there really failed us on that side. Mirror on the mirror. No, so we've got an audio side of it. Now, for £10 a month as a patron, you get to do these things. So he's got a question and we'll play it. So you'll be able to hear this through your headphones. So I think it's a 2-part question, isn't it? So
I want to ask what the 2009 TAS Susie was like to ride, or how good was it? And as a second question, what's the best feeling bike you've had that you've ridden where it ended up where the lap times weren't competitive?
Oh,
that's an interesting one. Good question.
Number 2. Go number 2 there. That is awesome, Phil. That is awesome, mate.
So a bike that felt really good but never produced lap times.
Yeah.
I was going along the lines of something that felt really good and the lap times came so easy. And
so which one was that?
That would have been so in Northwest Supersport Race 2018, EHA Yamaha R6, and I had Adrian Gorst, crew chief, and I just felt that the connection I had with the bike, that I could just flick the switch and disappear up the road. So that's what basically happened in the races. It was like, ta-da, gone.
So have you ever had it where you felt mint but it didn't happen, apart from obviously your first 125 race where you thought you were the god and you got lapped?
Hey, good memory.
It's mad because if something doesn't feel, if lap times aren't there, it feels horrendous for me.
But that's a very good question, because you must have done a lap and gone, that's lap record, and then come in and gone, what is that?
Just not this lap.
You know, like, you just like, you know what I mean? Yeah.
I think on paper the V4 Paul Bird PBM thing should have been a lot better in 2019. But
because
for whatever reason,
watching that looked really unstable.
Oh yeah.
But was that not when Marco Melandri used to have real bad stability issues? Was it the same year?
Yeah, they talked about him having that too, and like they never got to the bottom of it. But I can say now that if that thing went in a straight line, I probably would have checked out on it too, because it was fast. Yeah. Really fast. Like, I remember behind Derek Shields in that wet race, and the thing was doing this, like, high-speed wave. So Derek was looking back at me, expecting him to pass him any minute. So I was dropping off, like, shutting off the throttle. But see, once it kind of stabilised, and then I went, whack, it just went, woof, straight onto the back of him. It was so fast, and I was like, fuck's sake, just stay in a straight line. and it would have been a good bike if it stayed in a straight line. So
here's a question, going back to the super sport, is well, you don't get a gun without the bullets or bullets without a gun. Is Wilf going to the Northwest then?
Wilf is crew chief in the UK.
Right, so he's there for the full.
Yeah.
So he's going over next week to Bishop's Court with Alastair and.
Right.
Literally, I just learned this over my mac and cheese.
That's great. No, that's great. No,
it's not like we're kind of being given the bike and say, crack on, lads. We're getting Wilf, who's obviously Ducati.
He's practically Italian.
Yeah. So,
you know what I mean?
And what Ben Curry's doing with the bike at the minute. From
he's shitting himself about you riding his bike. That's what he'd be doing.
Well, that's the thing. He'd probably asked the question: is that my bike he's riding? But they've built a brand new bike.
Yeah, they have.
Right. So what he's doing through pre-season testing and whatever he's rode up to now, so first round at Silverstone, is quite important, because he's getting all the information into this bike, and Wilf is learning about it through Ben Curry riding the bike. So hopefully when we go next week, he knows engine braking strategies, and Wilf's no dozer. Like, he's
that's what it's
talking to him already. He's thinking out like gearing for the bike for this big long straights at the Northwest. So he's obviously
it's a shame he's not. It's just, obviously the Hutchie situation's horrible, but it's a shame that bike's not going down the road of Bray Hill. Imagine Wilf there with that bike, and the data they could accumulate rapidly would be phenomenal.
Although I think for likes of
by the way, I'm available if he's listening. But it's like, but seriously though, that like not to see that Ducati down there, because like there's always been like Paul Bird's always talked about it, and there's always been the Dunlop, you know, like, oh, he's going to do this, and it's never quite worked out for whatever reason behind closed doors. But to see the Ducati go down Bray Hill, for me, I would, especially that super sport thing as well. It would be, I would love to see that.
It rev its nuts off.
I think it'd be cool for the TT.
100% it would be.
I don't know if I'm speaking slightly out of turn, but I don't think Ducati are overly
Keen on it. Yeah.
Either.
I wonder what it's like as a crew chief or an engineer to try and look at a full lap of the TT.
I thought that was about the data.
Like, how do they look at all that data?
Oh,
Like, do they spend all night, like 6 hours, going over everything?
Well, because if you take say Will's just come from Silverstone with me, like it's literally you have to do a whole BSB race is one lap of the TT.
Because it would be great.
Like, how do you look through the data for that? Like, where do you pick the bit and go, oh, we need to change this because of...
But like, I remember, like, me and Chrissy interviewed Wilf, like, in Skype, you know, before Lundy built the studio and everything, and we got momentum with the show.
I've asked him to come back on.
It would be...
I'm trying.
But I can leave.
What'd you do?
Mate, you know, if you just sit there and just chat to him...
I think it'd be better if I wasn't in here, to be fair.
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
No, but being like, so how's Christian getting on?
Yeah,
no, but it would be great to get, it would be, you know, what would have been an ideal show would have been to get after the TT if the Hutchie thing panned out, because it'd be great to see someone like Wilf, like you just said, to see what his attitude towards
have
the TT
Have you worked with him before?
Very briefly on... So I rode the MV for Tyson, Dave Tyson.
Yeah.
Nice.
Briefly. And I think it was...
What year was that?
2018. So I started off the year...
Was that still the Ching Chow branded one?
Red and black and white.
Pornhub one.
Yeah. So I was started...
it was, yeah.
Started off on the WD-40 stock thing. And then after about 3 or 4 rounds decided it wasn't really working. I want to go back to Supersport. So Dave Tyson gave me a spin on the MV, but it wasn't very reliable and it leaked a bit of oil the odd time. So
doesn't tend to help reliability. To be fair,
just a bit.
Goes hand in hand.
It is British.
Wilf came over to look at the data and what he done with that brief meeting and chatting to him with engine braking and stuff. It was progression. So I thought, you know, when as a rider and a crew chief they get that bond. If something's changed and you go out and it feels better, you go faster and you get that bond. Well, he was like, I think if I can work with him and we make progression, then it's a bit like the EHA thing where you're doing Gorst.
Yeah.
He respects you because you've got a load of experience and you're not just waffling. So whenever I asked for a change to be made and he knew what I was talking about, he could look at the data and look at what I was saying and make it better. Mm-hmm. So when I went out on the bike, I was like, this feels great straight away. So that blew up into the Northwest. He's a load of experience, Adrian Gorst, going to the Northwest, and the bike was just like, I felt like nobody was going to touch me that year on that R6, and that's kind of the way it materialised.
So final question from me, because you've got your target of 34 wins. You've also said McWilliams is still going at the grand old age of...
He's not
59.
old though. I resent that comment. He's not old. He races motorcycles.
The grand young age of...
Thank you very much.
He puts pressure on us, doesn't he? That we can't match.
Does he ever?
He's mint. He's just got that. And that fire.
He's never less than 10 tenths either. He doesn't
That's what I mean. He's got like age is just a number. You know what I mean?
He's not just like sallying around, is he? No. Like collecting a paycheck.
The gum shield is in, and he's going. But you're having it.
I blame him his MotoGP days or his Grand Prix days.
He's angry, and he's an angry man.
It's great.
He just hangs it out. Anything he does, he goes out in the trials bike and he'd be the first one to go at something that's sketchy. And you're like, Jeremy, you should know better. And he's like, come on, you Fritz.
That's mint.
But have you got a stop point in terms of it? Because you said you're 43 now.
Yeah.
But you obviously feel mint. You feel as good on the bike as you ever did do.
Yeah, as long as...
No, because it's a funny thing in racing.
Yeah,
if this year is a strange number. It's a strange thing because everyone wants the kids, but then actually the kids don't always provide the results, so then they go back to actually we need someone with experience. You know, teams are always tossing up this difficult juggling balls of what do we want, and then from a rider, it's also a difficult thought process. For you, have you got a point where you're going to go? Actually, it's either 34 wins or you know what I mean?
If this year goes well at BSB in the stock 1000 class, I'd like to think that we could kind of continue this on.
Yeah.
And it was only a blip during, like, my last sort of BSB results would have been with the GP2 thing. And obviously, towards the end of the GP2 thing, we were getting ballast put onto the bike, like 5 kilo. And the horsepower was cut to 126 or 128 horsepower. So you were never really going to be at the front of super sport races again. And you're down middle pack, and the bike was kind of, you were losing distance on straights with horsepower deficit, and then you were having to do lunges, and then it gets messy when it gets like that. So my results were pretty average or mediocre towards the end, and then you get out of the shop window.
Yeah.
And you get forgot about. And that's probably why I didn't get a gig for 2021. So I went back home.
It's a fickle paddock. You're quickly forgotten, but you've also very quickly remembered, aren't you?
Yeah. So like the Northwest hat trick, I think, was more or less like
quickly remembered again.
He can still do this, and we'll give him a chance in Superstock because he still seems like he's got a bit of fire in his belly.
Yeah.
And it's up to me now to repay it because I've been given that opportunity, so I can't just like squander it and say, sure, it's nice to be run about here with this team gear on. It's chest puffed out and all.
McGregor in it.
You have to work hard, and by being here for, what was I here, 2007, so 14, 15 years or something like that, 16 years I've been here, so I know how to go about presenting myself. And teams now, as you know, you have to be good at the media and talking and interviews, and it's not just about riding bikes anymore. It's like the young kids are nurtured. Even Johnny Ray, when he rode for Red Bull, they were media trained. So it's not just about twisting the wrist and squeezing the brake.
There we go. Right, my last couple of questions. So, biggest regret and what's left on the bucket list? Your biggest item on your bucket list left?
I'd like to go to Daytona 200.
Nice.
Right.
And win it.
Very nice.
Obviously win it.
Yeah.
There you go.
And biggest regret? Probably not going to World Supersport opportunities when I had them.
Right. Did you make that sound quite a handful, really? Was there a fair few options?
It was like the lower teams were asking, but I never really pursued it much, as in I thought it would have been going in to kind of just make up the numbers rather than getting an opportunity with the Sofoglu type teams or the Yamaha teams.
Yeah.
It would have been going in and kind of not proving yourself as a good super sport rider.
There we are.
So I never really pursued it, where I maybe could have went, and if it was a wet race I could have maybe been up there or something, and it just completely
takes one race, doesn't it?
It flips your career. Like one race can flip a career.
And my final question before shutting shop tonight: you could pick 3 people, past, present, to go to the bar with on your last night on Earth. Who would they be? Who would them 3 riders? Hell, don't even have to be riders. You know what I mean?
Kevin Schwantz, Joey Dunlop, and my final night would have to be...
Ooh.
It's a good first 2.
Isn't it?
It
could be Santa Claus or all that, yes, son. You know what I mean? It could be anyone.
I'll give you 2. I'm stumped on the third one.
God, it's got to be 3. The best thing is your mates be listening to this going, he better say my fucking name. He better say my name.
He's not getting invited out again by then, is he?
His missus will be going...
I was going to say something that wouldn't go down too well. Especially if it was my last night on there. No, we'll go with George Best.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. Football, not in Ireland football.
I like that.
Yeah.
That is cracking. That is cracking.
Geordie loved an old tipple,
Oh, Christ. What was his famous line? Was it like, I spent me money on how...
Something like women and
I spent
the rest are squandered, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was it. Like hookers and cocaine and the rest are wasted and stuff like that. It was absolutely class.
When you go down them lines, you've also got like Alex Higgins and stuff, the snooker player from back home, like legends. Just loves an old fucking playing snooker, half gassed and all. And
absolutely class.
George Best would have been with, was it Miss World and stuff? I think he was shagging Miss World or whatever at the time.
No, that
It's a tough life.
That is a tough life. You know what I mean?
Legend.
Absolutely love it. Well, obviously, thank you so much for coming on the show tonight, and good luck for tomorrow. Same with you, Christian. Thank you so much yet again, and just to shut up shop nicely, thank you so much to Colchester Kawasaki. Click by click deliver. I keep getting that mixed up every time I do it. But you know
just
what?
rewriting the tagline.
Every time, there's no such thing as bad publicity, but without them, with stuff, the patrons goes without saying. Alan Garner, Bennett's,
Bennett's just to Chris's message, just to remind one of our extra things, or not one of ours, one of the extra things they do, and I'm doing them tomorrow.
I thought you were going to crash Josh Corner.
No, safety car laps that we do. Oh, it's Josh Corner.
Can you please tell the view? This is worth sitting down
Right,
for
hold on.
5 minutes.
So,
right.
Bennett's rewards for while we just do this.
Yep.
One of the things they're doing here is safety car laps. So I'm doing the safety car laps. Will be 2 or 3 other BSB lads, and you jump in the car with us. Yeah, we drive around in the safety car. I don't know why it's called a safety car. It's dangerous as fuck.
Especially, I've never seen you drive.
I remember back in the days when they were giving Nissans out for the car things. Did you do that?
Oh, the GTRs?
No, these were
never
like
did it in the Nissans, but I'm doing it
X's or something. But round Brands Indy, and they were all like,
yeah, but we're in like the M4s and stuff. It's like it's proper. But the trouble is, there's people walking the track while you're at it, and then what was that?
50 points.
Big, that's a big curve. That bit, yeah, it's a big curve. So yeah, that's another thing in the Bennett's rewards anyway.
Yeah, you get to do a lap with Christian, and also I would like to give a shout out to one of our co-hosts, Josh Corner, that has single-handedly got me, Joe Ackroyd and Christian Iddon sacked from joining Bennett's reward track days because he took a customer's bike, a beautiful Boost Yamaha, and decided to stuff it down the track. Oh, yeah, it wasn't very good. Cold tyre caught him out, so Christian's keeping quiet, but you know what?
He said cold tyre. He sent us a video. He's already done 4 laps.
You know what? In the name of sport,
till he took the front.
He took the big time, but no, the main thing is he's all right and he's got a sense of humour, so this is what it's about. Crossing each other.
His wallet hasn't.
No, God love him. Oh well, shit happens, man. Shit happens. But yet again, thank you to all our sponsors, all our patrons. Thank you, Christian and Alastair Seeley. It's been absolutely great, and good luck for the weekend, lads.
Thanks for having me.
See you in a bit.
Enjoyed it.
Chasin The Racin, powered by Colchester Kawasaki, part of the Global Moto Group. We supply new Aprilia, Moto Guzzi, Vespa, Royal Enfield, Kawasaki, Sim, Mutt, and Benelli motorcycles.